Hello, good evening. Welcome back to the Rally Rumble Day 2. It is knockout time. Joining me is Spectron, making another round of BPL. Been all over the globe, mostly UK to NA. But Spectron, how you doing? And welcome to another brilliant cast on BPL.
I mean, second day of the Rally Rumble, second day I'm back, another late night for us, and should be another good day of games. Personally, feeling excited. I've had my pizza, had some lovely weather, and now we should have a pretty entertaining match for us.
Yeah, I think so. These are two of the, I would say, better teams. Trapple definitely underperformed in Swiss, but this is going to be banger of a matchup for sure. There's not much in it, particularly looking at the additions and subtractions that we're getting from either side. But we're going to preview the standings. As we said, Militarum 2-1, and Crabball at that 1-2, but a decent a decent map win percentage from the enemy teams.
Yeah, I mean, we can't read a crazy amount into how this Swiss is going to end up, standing out in terms of weighting. Obviously, it does give, on paper, a bit of a lead to Militarum. But I mean, in terms of how the rosters might end up shaping out, and especially in terms of how your strength of schedule might have ended up shaping up, it really could mean anything. So, well, we can say maybe it's a 55% lead to Militarum. At this point, everything's still very much up in the air. So, again, don't read too much into this. If you're a betting man, woman, or child, don't place your bets just yet. Wait until we get into the server for the action to really begin to unfold.
Yeah, and gamble responsibly, everyone. If you should be betting on anything, it's like Overwatch CS group stage, and that's it. People have made a ton of money off that in the UK.
Oh, I
It's
saw that
absolutely
too.
crazy. But yeah, anyway, to preview the brackets, we've got a couple of matchups that are running it back. Low Palamari, aka Cal and the crew, are playing against What is Inspire. Their superstar hitstand Sonder, I think, is available. We've got Blue Footed Boobies versus June Buddy over on the B stream. And then all the way on the C is Blossom versus My Way. My Way, a little bit down today. A couple of their members have potentially FF'd, but hoping to at least put on a good show against our number 2 seed. Any potential surprises, upsets, or teams that you're really looking to make a run at? Spectrum, when you look at this bracket, you're thinking, okay, this team is semis like minimum.
Only that if I don't support Scotland against spinner wheels, then I think I will be kicked out the country from which I live. So go Scotland all the way!
True. Scotland Nation rise, and they looked good yesterday as well. Nevix, a lot of people didn't really know about them, but they're just one of the best tanks in EU in terms of the solo queue and sort of low tier 3 experience in general. So they're almost like too over kitted for BPL in terms of experience, and alongside the likes of Shoreline Pie and etc. Just a wealth of experience and overall good talent for that roster. But speaking of rosters, let's have a look at the ones that we've got. Wait, no, stream matches. Okay, I trolled prod. GG. Anyway.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, as you see it, Militarum and Crabble first. That's going to be this match, and Blue-Footed Boobies taking on June Buggy over on BPL 2, as Jace has already so kindly mentioned. So there is going to be some downtime. Very likely one of these games is going to finish first. So if we do end up having a quick 2-0, Blue-Footed Boobies versus June Buggy still going on, just keep it in mind because you can hop over real quick, and the action will continue. Plenty of BPL action today. Maybe even too much if you just want to be able to consume it all in one sitting.
Yeah. there is so much going on. BPL has grown into a massive community from where it was even just a year or so ago. You know, BPL season 6 is on the horizon, as has been publicly announced, and no leaks there. I'd imagine there would be maybe three leads of 10 teams. So there is so much going on, and it really is difficult to consume all of the BPL. It's not like it used to. A couple of weekend games and that was it. But let's get into the rosters. As I said, the community has grown, and it's seen on these teams. Regulars, unfeatured, not available today, unfortunately. Wide Earth has been here. Look out for them on Sojourn. They are a shooter. But they're going to be going up against a hell of an Avengers line with Chicken, Frozen, and Karaki. Look for Karaki to sub in, particularly for that first or second map. They are the quote-unquote bench option. But to call them a bench option is an understatement. Karaki is still great. Fate, not available for today as they're playing Marvel Rivals. Magpolar, I think, is back for Crabball. For Militarum, it's basically just unfeatured gone. Everyone else is available.
I mean, I think you were saying beforehand that Unfeatured was one of the big pivot points of Militarum being so important to do with their comms, especially in terms of the style of play as well. So could be a bit of a disadvantage. Remember, we spoke about Militarum being the 2-on-1 side. So missing that big, I I mean, catalyst to victory is Militarum, so maybe, again, that could give Crabbull maybe a leg up on them, even though they have a bit of a weaker record. I mean, in terms of players who stand out to me, I mean, I think you mentioned Fate already. That's a very strong player for Crabbull, especially, I mean, Ash. I don't actually know how good Ash is as a player, but he's a pretty chill guy from last time I spoke to him, so...
yeah, it's not bad.
I'm a little bit biased here, at least, seeing what might happen. But I think that's kind of it. A lot of these players are a little bit unbeknownst to me, I admit.
Yeah, and that's entirely fine. Some BPL regulars, obviously, Wide Earth, Whispers, Damien, Dap, but you were mentioning like Unfeatured not being available, and whilst Militarum at a 2-1 record, Crabballer at a 1-2, a large fulcrum, a large driving force behind Militarum's really strong win, particularly against Thieving, where they just kind of absolutely donkey slapped them on Gibraltar. Like, I'm going to be honest, go back and watch the VOD on that one. That one was a BPL B stream. That was a masterclass in dive. And that came at the hands of Five, who was available by Flex Support, and Unfeatured on the Winston. Just so patient, so deliberate, so vindictive, so ruthless with how they were with their engages. They did not go in until they had the setup, the go button, often that being the nano boost. So losing that Winston, losing the comms that you get from Unfeatured from Militarum is a big loss. I have all the faith in Cypher. They're definitely getting better and have shown progression throughout this tournament already, which is like crazy to see because it's a weekend tournament. But yeah, I think look for the DPS matchup if you were going to put bets on anything, because that one will be an absolute stinger in particular.
I think right now as well, we're in such a DPS-centric meta that the DPS is just always going to be valuable. We're playing this Lucio carry backline that's supposed to enable your DPS on as many angles as possible. Your DPS are getting all these resources, and your tank is kind of supposed to sit there, not make a mistake. Your backline is only helping your DPS, so your Sojourn, your Tracer, if you are playing what is considerably meta, what is, you know, the kind of standard, you need to be finding frags, and if your Sojourn is hitting railguns, or a cast perhaps if you're feeling extra funky, then you're going to have such a huge advantage over your opponent that, you know, the rest of your team might not be able to even interact with the game. Yeah. So your DPS, I think you mentioned them, and absolutely we have to have a huge spotlight on them, because if they can perform, we could be seeing a quick game here.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's for either team. If there is a massive DPS diff, you're right, it could just be a 2-0. Remember, there is a 2-0 quarterfinals, and the round of 16 and then the round of 8. Both of these, the first two games in the elimination, are going to be single elim, first to 2. As we again have a look at the record. The only team to get a map off Blossom, Militarum actually. So that's almost an achievement in itself. But yeah, Crabball, as I said, it's just a little bit slow in the Swiss stages, I think, more so figuring it out. But they are definitely scaling. And I just want to go to the importance spectrum, because if you ever test with me in the future, you'll probably hear me yap about it. I'm sure Toasty has potentially mentioned it in Convo as well. I am the world's biggest Sojourn hater. I think this character is so overkitted. It's so strong. It pushes so many characters out the meta. It's so good, particularly with now the DPS passive being in the game. Sojourn has so much agency, so much priority. She is the playmaker. You set up on an angle, you play from main, you hit a railgun, and then you do something. Nothing starts without Sojourn hitting that all-important burst damage, right click or left click, depending on what you've got it bound on. I could monologue tax for aeons. It's so silly.
I mean, I do agree with you, actually. I think that Sojourn generally, I actually think she's a fun hero. I just think we've seen her in the game way too much. I mean, it's been, like a year solid of Sojourn being the only hit scan.
Yeah.
Cassidy's been here sometimes. Hanzo was here for a bit, but people didn't like the one shot, so out he goes again. I mean, the reason you see these kind of 2.5 minute deadlocks on maps like Colosseo is essentially because of Sojourn. About 90% Sojourn, 10% map design. I think she's had her day, and I think maybe a time for a nerf should come in, but I mean, I had about a 2-hour conversation with Mentally Boomed about this yesterday. It's all just heroes skill scaling, in my opinion. We need to make heroes who scale more evenly with skill progression, because then we won't see heroes who, like Kiriko, who when you hit a headshot you just win, like Sojourn, where you hit a headshot you just win, or like Tracer, who just responds to that so well in her own way. Of course, we do see a bit of a first map come through. Looks like Hollywood gonna be up here next, and gotta say, talking about the Sojourn, these long sight lines, it's gonna be a hit scans playground time and time again here.
Yeah, I mean, which maps aren't? Like, since going into 5v5, like, I couldn't imagine Sojourn would just look way more balanced in 6v6, but unfortunately that time is over the hill. And speaking of over the hill, I want to shout out Boomed, who definitely isn't paying attention, but one of the more prolific and one of the better coaches in EU just essentially called time on their career. Can you really retire at our level? I'd like to think so, but Boom put in a ton of effort into coaching a bunch of players in the EU community. So shout out that awesome gamer and best of luck in the rest of their future. Really one of those where you see a retirement post on Twitter and you're like, oh God. But it's like, okay, fair enough. You kind of deserve to be given your flowers for it.
We got doubled up as well. It was him and Coinjury, or them and Coinjury, sorry, the same day. It's just brutal.
It's rough out here in the EU.
The breaks, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking of breaks, I think to double back on what you were saying, I'm just looking at Hollywood, and I'm running through scenarios in my head for team fights. I'm like, okay, if Chicken hits a railgun, it's on. If White Earth hits a railgun, it's on. If the Tracer can find a flank on the backline, it's on. Compositionally, both of these teams should be pretty similar. The only team I've seen running kind of weird shit, essentially, is Torb Cass from Thieving. They've been playing Sigma Backbreak Torb Cass, which has just had such an effective power of we stand there and don't do anything. And it seems like a very default way to play, but I would be very shocked if either of these teams are pulling out anything similar, particularly on this map where high ground is so important.
I genuinely think that Torb is better this patch unless you're playing him into Monkey. In my experience of scrimming Torbjorn, then the way, because he gets a little bit of an armor buff, obviously, DPS passive up to 20% is so good for your turrets. So as long as you aren't shotgunning Monkey at close range, you are basically just better off. So while you have to adapt a little bit, maybe swap over to that primary fire to burn down some of that armor first, Torbjorn on the whole is still very, very strong and survivable too. That overload is almost deceptive with how long it allows the Torbjorn to survive. So you play that particular character as a hit scan option almost, and you've just got so many angles to control that at any time it's incredibly tricky for a dive comp especially to find a way in.
Yeah, and I'm in case anyone is slightly unaware, I've been helping. I've sort of been making sure that Militarum don't mentally boom themselves, make sure they play sensible Overwatch. Of DMing whispers, I'm like, okay, if you guys haven't gone into map yet, I think this comp would absolutely slap. It is exactly what we're seeing on the stream for Militarum. As we said, this Winston comp has really been a fulcrum for them.
Yeah, the nanocycles are going to be the make or break of this particular composition. Nades as well from 5, but if you don't find value from the nano boost, then Crabble might just win these out in the neutrals.
Yeah, Moon's going to be able to take a lot of space on the Ramarcha here, but not if the anti-'s Chicken gets that dangerously low HP, and the lamp is already forced. It makes their rotation a little bit harder for them now. Cooldown's still being left up though. It's about this punch. This Nemesis form is going to have to come in really, really late. Militarum, anytime they're able to take poke, particularly on Cypher, they just had a racing to Nano. White Earth gets the Disruptor Orb shot on the rotation, so now Chicken is gone. And they just run in lethal. You gotta respect the Sojourn, man. That counter is absolutely overtuned. And there's a perfect example. They just hit the rotation. They rotate against the Sojourn. They don't smother it. And I think Militarum are just going to clean this one up. And most importantly, Cypher is going to be able to give so much charge to 5.
It's super tricky from Crabble because they do a pretty clever play, actually trying to clear the higher ground to restrict the angles of Militarum. But they know that when they drop to the objective, Cypher's just going to jump straight back up and render all their good work absolutely null and void. And so they're stuck in an awkward spot of will they, won't they on the higher ground. They just get poked out by Militarum when the engage eventually does come through. Reaper slept up and his day's going to be ruined by 5.
Ooh, 1 HP though, manages to just about live. As Chicken is finding the aggression onto Sunny. Bit difficult for the Tracer here, I would say, but Moon has gone into the backline to find Damien Dab. Cypher's Nano is applied, so they're looking to trade. Where are the supports for Crabble? This is what Cypher is looking for. There we go, gets one. White Earth hits another railgun onto Frozen. That takes down the all-important Tracer. And then now it's just Chicken, unfortunately, without that cooldown. This Reaper is not the strongest on this patch. They are not. I don't think they've ever been that.
What is this? What is this overclock? I understand trying to force the value, but come on, man. What a fat finger. Absolutely brutal. One of the strongest tools of Militarum thrown into the absolute dirt. And it's not even Pearls before Swine here, Jace. It's kind of just some mud.
Yeah, White Earth's going to want that one back, I think. That's a bit unlucky, but a huge opportunity. Crabble now. The anti is going to slow them down a little bit. Comes in Sunny, he's a victim of their own pulse bomb. They get hit with the Hinder Nade. They cook a bit too hard there. Frozen also misses the pulse bomb. Okay, so now the Tracer just particularly feeling it today. Give them time to warm up. I'm absolutely sure of it. Cypher goes in and just gets burned through the window from lethal. Great execution there from Crabble, and Militarum again down OC. Cypher gets a bit too aggressive in that primal, they get punished with window, and that's just going to be capped.
I mean, if I'm Crabble, this is the simplest plan of all time. Walk main, window to punish, and Bob's your uncle. They're through into the second area of Hollywood. Note Militarum instantly swapping over to the D.Va. Interesting pick, actually. Not feeling it. The monkey is going to be punished too much, I guess.
Oh,
See exactly how they like to play it, but yeah, huge kill.
I hate to interrupt you, because 5 has just hit a 5-man nade. Oh my god, that was disgusting.
That's actually humongous. I mean, that's mana value for you. Your main 2 sources of value are going to be hitting nades like that and the nana boost. And because 5 hit a nade like that, then there's now nana boost online. Not going to be as strong now. You don't have any fantastic targets, no monkey, no overclock to hit, but still pretty much everyone else going to be relatively valid. Could even go for a raid boss here with Damien Dap just running in, rally active, and taking the frontline during to Moon.
I mean, it seems good, right? Like, Cypher's defensive resource is limited, right? That DM will eventually run out, but Damien Dap, with that nano boost, that raid boss, as you said, gives them a real front line. If they want to drop onto Crabble, particularly off a nade that 5 could hit because they can't anti it, like there, you could just nano and go in there, I think, and it looks like they have done. Sunny gets the pulse bomb, they're just going to walk in, clean up lethal. The beat from Magpolar is just too late. The high ground control from Militarum has been excellent. They can't lose their supports here, though, to Moon. No, just about taking him down with that cross healing from Damien Dap and 5.
And we're seeing a textbook example here of why people don't typically play more ground-based compositions on Hollywood. With a Ramattra, you have to force cart. And when you do that, Militarum are going to be able to take angles on you, they're going to crossfire you, and they're going to ruin your day. Moon realizes that overs the D.Va to better contest high ground, but trying to disrupt and displace an Ana break backline. Jace, this is going to be tricky as all hell.
It's so tricky, and what I hate as well, Spectron, is that look at the composition from Crabwall. If Moon is clearing high ground, he's doing it by himself. And no bueno, no likey. Like, Sunny just goes and clips Magpolar in the back, so that's their Lucio gone. That means they're stuck. Frozen luckily manages to even it up with a great pulse bomb. Now is the time for the Volcanic DPS to step up. That's for sure. They have claimed high ground, though. Militarum are pushed back. Wide Earth, all importantly. That Sojourn losing high ground is big because Chicken is able to claim it and put one bullet straight through the head of Sunny. Nothing peaceful about that, mate. That's for sure. Wide Earth is going to force the lamp from lethal, but Crabwall are just on the high ground here and slowly going to accrue percentage on the card.
Yeah, I mean, that's the weakness of this Ana break backline, right, Jace? They just get absolutely eviscerated by Pulse Bombs. Yeah. Free kill there, and that opens up the entire fight. Crabwall now, with the angles control, should find it a lot easier, but lethal just collapses. Yeah, the nano engage again is so big. Cypher is just able to go so hard, but Moon and Frozen hit the backline instead. They hit the 2 for 2, and now Cypher's committed the nano. Damien Dap committed the rally, and it's not a one fight. It's actually a lost fight for Militarum. And whilst they still have ultimate advantage going into the next one, Crabwall are more than happy to take this high ground control. Probably still going to be in their favor. Cypher's bomb just going to stall it out. Sunny finds Moon, though, after the defect. Ooh. Okay, this is a big hold for Militarum. I thought they were losing this. Yeah, it's back and forth there in the fight, but the trade's almost even. The bomb, a nice idea, but it denies enough space, does Cypher's, and allows the prevention of the remake onto Moon. Crabwall really feeling robbed off that one, I would assume, and Chicken decides to go over to the Echo. Fair enough to him. No Cassidy to mark you out the sky, and can get great work done on the backline. But it could also be very feast or famine, and 30 seconds left. There will be no ultimate from Chicken here.
No, exactly. Losing an ultimate is going to be big. You've got Window, though, so potentially Echo through Window might be big. Lethal just hard disrespecting. Dropped out from the high ground. Lethal. Oh, no, that's not the most ideal. Wide Earth manages to get the kill, but can they trade? They've got a railgun. Frozen finds 2, though, with the pulse bomb in the backline against both 5 and Damien Dap. Again, Militarum leaves their backline in the first 3 kills in the fight. It's a disaster. This pulse bomb from Funny has to hit. It does. It just pops Moon out of the mech, though. They're going to get back in that for sure. Chicken has killed Cypher in response. I think at the 11th hour, Spectre and Crabwall have managed to do it.
They make us sweat, but in the end, yeah, Militarum are displaced. Crabwall can continue this payload forwards. Only a minute and a half, though, feels like an overtime cap, if any cap at all, is going to be inevitable. They've got the duplicate here, and gotta say, an Ana, a Sojourn here, that's feeling particularly juicy if I am Chicken. These longer sidelines as well. Oh, Wide Earth, sorry, goes over to the Cassidy. So wants the sidelines to be a little bit shorter, wants to be able to burn down the tank more than anything else, as well as pressuring Chicken out the sky.
Yeah, and I'm always slightly unhappy when I see someone swap off Sojourn. Again, Jason, the character is broken, .mp3 monologue, whatever. But Well, your backline is getting blown up so hard. Damien Dapp and Five are always, like, they've been dead so much, almost too much. And I think White Earth needs to stay back and essentially just shoot the people that are shooting their backline. Sometimes it is just as simple as trading primary fires. Look at how pressured they are, though. Cypher goes down to crit, and it's just to peel the Ana, to peel the Brig. You're going to win in the long fight. But Cypher goes out of net because Chicken gets the copy. Beat comes on top for Crabwall as well. They are double Diva, and they are just pushing that W key. Lethal ATA P7 finds a pick onto Cypher's baby form. Chicken gonna pop out the match, and that's it for now.
I mean, the advantage of playing this Cassidy here is that you don't need to worry about your angles control. You can just trade front lines, but it's much easier to trade front lines with a double Diva composition. So great dupe from Chicken. Last stretch here, and a pick from Mag.
Okay, Sunny gets the 1-for-1 though. This angle could be very aggressive here. The Nano goes onto the Diva. Chicken is just one shot. Sunny's pulse bomb is the trade there, so at least they went 1-for-1. This is a lot of ults expended for Militarum, but it's overtime. I did not read, my bad. But Militarum, they just get the full hold, all the ults expended. In the end, Crabball just maybe needed that extra fight or two. That was all they needed, but they did not get it. What do you think of the adaptations that both teams made, particularly going into third Spectrum? I think that was really interesting, actually.
I think the time being low enough, I really like the idea of Militarum. I think Cassidy kind of solves all their issues. I mean, I agree that Sojourn is very strong, but a lot of the strength of Sojourn is your ability to independently take angles. And on Last Point Hollywood, there are no angles to take. It's essentially just a frontline trade. That's where Cassidy is going to find a lot more value because you don't have to worry about finding good railguns. You can just kind of plink away and, you know, basically fire at whatever you see. Also, it helps you guard the backline. You mentioned that they were getting punished time and time again. It's borderline impossible with a Cassidy there providing the extra damage. And if I am Crabble, you're kind of sticking with this Echo because of the fact you still have the ultimate, whereas it's going to really struggle to find a lot of impact, especially as you push into this absolutely final stage outside of the film studio, right? There aren't easy high grounds to pivot around. There aren't easy cover for you to maneuver. These kind of open sight lines. This is, again, where Cassidy is going to thrive, and Wide F can't really find, or sorry, Chicken couldn't find as much value as maybe they would have wished. So, Crapple, great progress though, I have to say. They did really fantastic job, especially when we thought that maybe it was going to be cooked for them at the first point, then the second point, but unfortunately they stopped being able to ride by the seat of their pants throughout the whole map. Just 4 meters left to go. Militarum going to be attacking first. Crapple, double flex for backline here, so again, resources into the DPS line and in fact the supports themselves. This is super high damage, but without Eluso, Moon could well be caught unawares.
Yeah, and this also, I think, makes them quite squishy. If you're Militarum, I wonder if Cypher does opt to go back over to that Winston, and the Diva is perfectly fine. Nano onto that tank, I think, just should be the go button for them again. And Tracer, I think, definitely falls off on second point. I actually don't like it as much as some others maybe do, but on first point, it's absolutely fine. You've got access to the backline, as Sunny does, unfortunately. They're just going to be poked out. Now you're down resources, your Tracer can't engage on that angle. Wide Earth on the Cassidy here instead of the Sojourn needs the high ground. It's the 1v1. This Chicken is getting backed up by Magpolar on that Anna, so able to provide long-range support. Moon just trying to poke out the Tracer on the off angle. Now has to fly back to their backline to cover. Crabwall really down to just sort of give Cafe, hold, anchor on point, back and forward, and essentially just try and race each other to nano boost.
I mean, Moon is right now just playing almost as a Brigitte, just stacking on top of Magpolar and make sure this Ana lives for as long as possible. Nano Boost now online. Crabble could hit the go button if they so wish, but they don't really need to. All they need to do is extend this poke phase. As long as the dive doesn't come through from Militarum, Crabble are going to be the ones in the lead.
That's the big pick. They needed something like that, Militarum. They dig to break it open. 5 goes for the nade. It's eaten. But let's see, does Cypher manage to block anything? They get to sleep. The pulse bomb should just condemn Magpolar. Chicken has already died. Wide Earth finds 2k in this fight. And again, once the nano boost comes in onto that tank again, you're so aggressive. The space is completely swamped by Militarum. They completely take over, and Crabball, they were able to give and take in that first fight, but not in that last one. They get pushed all the way back and they give up the point.
I mean, Crabble played their macro about as well as they realistically could, only investing enough resources into Magpolar to keep him alive. Unfortunately, Frozen gets shot in the head. That's an unfortunate consequence of playing Tracer occasionally. You're going to give up picks like that. Militarum, with the numbers advantage, really going to struggle to flub their lines there, so do convert. Note the high ground, again taken. Crabble still in a defensive position, will still probably have an advantage in a lot of these fights, but there's still that pick pressure. Frozen could still die at any moment.
And we saw how good Militarum were able to play on the first high ground.
Oh my god.
Okay, I mean, you know, till the Echo dies. Good target focus from Militarum. Damien Dab goes into the rally. losing Cypher, I think they're potentially going to want that one back. As now, Militarum, they're committing resources, but it's not really for anything. They can't pressure cart, they get shot from the high ground, and Crabballs are just more than happy to chill out.
That they are. They don't really need to hold the W key doing anything much now because they have the high ground already. The push has to come through. Crabble looking to punish, but the sidelines are so passive.
Yeah, and it's really hard for White Earth to watch in here. As soon as he comes down, the Kiri Rush from P-Sub is so good, and that's the go button for Crabble. They just stuck in on that Cassidy. The defense matrix absolutely smothers them. The Suzu on top as well. Cypher finds the trade onto Chicken, so potentially they've overplayed their hand. The Diva Bomb from Moon might even need to come in just to keep them alive. The sleep comes out from 5, and that's going to condemn Frozen. That Tracer has been having a rough map. That's for sure. But with Crabble losing basically both their DPS, Militarum should finally get a little bit of percentage on the cart. They want more. Nano boost onto Cypher's a little bit late here.
I don't imagine Cypher can find much value. Yeah, the defense matrix is going to blunt the tip of that particular spear. Militarum, yeah, they do have control of the high ground. That's the most important thing for this Hollywood second phase, but that is a tool they're very much be wanting back.
Oh, Nano Diva. Nano Diva plus Tracer could just be the end for Damien Dapp, though. This Brig is so much squishier than she used to be. Moon gets slept by 5 on that high ground. This Anna is still alive, and Sunny's Pulse Bomb managed to find Chicken. So now we're getting White Earth versus Tracer. Cass versus Tracer again. This time it's the Cassidy that loses. Finds a headshot. Damien Dapp is still living somehow. Can the Anna heal them up? Not while they're anti. 97% on rally and they're dead. Margins, but I think Militarum again just able to leverage hard and clean this one up.
It's been so back and forth, but one of the huge factors all throughout Militarum's streak here on Hollywood has been 5. Some of these sleep darts especially have been absolutely brutal. I mean, we remember the nades too from that last half, so shout out 5. Already got another nano boost online for Militarum whenever they choose to invest it. Chicken has to do his best to live here because a death now, that spells the end of second point here for Crabble. Living absolutely essential in this double flexible backline. When you don't control the space for free, really struggles. Militarum have all the advantages in the world here.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, the nano boost can go in from 5. I guess they got the name after how many seconds it takes for them to charge their nano boost, because it really feels like they've got it every other fight. It just goes on to Cypher, who absolutely smothers Chicken. It's going to take no damage from that defense matrix. The anti-boost is, sorry, the anti-nade, it does not even bother the nano boosted Diva. Once Magpolar goes, the sustain advantage comes in for Militarum. Cypher has not dropped under 200 HP this entire fight, and they have been getting permanently 5-man looked at, and it's allowed Militarum to pile in, swarm, engage, and surge, and get themselves second.
Lethal could go downhill, see if the Swift Step is online in time, and yeah, into the wind goes the Kiriko. Militarum, though, stronger time by about a minute than what Crabble had, but still on a point that's hard to assail as the last point of Hollywood. Still very much a challenge for Militarum to get that completion. Crabble are in a strong spot with their ults as well, 4 check marks, and the strong ones too.
Yeah. And I think Damien Dapp being on the bridge here, as opposed to the Pulse Bomb, Pulse Bomb just goes wide, as opposed to Lethal on the Kiriko, gives them a little bit more protection for their backline, and when your Anna is able to get this much value, it's definitely something to look out for. Lethal dying here means they've just actually lost a fair bit of damage coming out from their Kiriko. Sometimes all you need is a kunai to clean up the headshot. But speaking of, White Earth gets so smothered. The nano boost goes onto Frozen this time. And both of these Annas, it just is a case of nano boost plus go for both of these teams. They're really respecting it and waiting for that ultimate to come up online.
I mean, this double FS style of dive is one of the best ult trading comps in the game. And they do have a significant lead in Militarum in that respect. Not in the bodies, though, as we've already got a pick coming through.
Sunny takes down Chicken, so that means that White Earth could potentially get a free angle. They don't need to duel. And now they can focus their efforts on potentially forcing out the Tracers, then walk on the backline. When you lose one of your DPS, you lose the flank angle control, and it's so rough. Sunny again finds a pick onto Lethal. They are split. Chicken goes for the High Noon, sticks the High Noon, and unfortunately meets a swift end for it. It's High Noon in the underworld, I guess. Militarum going to be looking to roll this one in. Anyone on chart? No, they are not. Militarum just playing the game of ultimates. Again, so patient with their engagers. And they take a pretty strong Hollywood map 1.
I think, for me, the main difference between Militarum and Crabble is that Militarum are finding picks. You know, without really investing any sort of huge macro play, without investing cooldowns. Occasionally, they're just hitting shots. And these picks are most definitely adding up. I think we see that in the final fight there. Just find one, convert the 4 and 5, and they get the map because of it. So that's definitely the largest factor, I think, between these two sides. If Crabble, are able to clean up their rotates a little bit, maybe make sure they know exactly when they are engaging, disengaging, then we'll stop seeing these kind of kills hemorrhage, because they are really hamstringing them, and I think it's super close between these two sides. Really could go either way, but that time, unfortunately, not the way of Crabble's.
Yeah, and this was, again, we were talking a little bit before we went into game about, I think it was either pre-show or even when we were off broadcast, about how Unfeatured and 5 on Gibraltar yesterday were so good with that nano boost Winston, and it was just replicated. Like, excellent job from Cypher in particular to step in and essentially be a side grade, absolutely flat replacement. They were going in with the nano Winston so much yesterday, using that to just control, soak, push back, and ultimately gain space for their DPS. It allowed Sunny so much time, so much space, so much angles, so many angles, and so much pressure out onto the backline. So excellent job from Militarum losing a tank as Unfeatured not available today, and just saying, okay, we're just going to do the same thing. Cypher, get in here, do your job, and do it well, and that's exactly what they did. That dive comp still undefeated for Militarum so far in this tournament.
And one has to worry whether it ever will be at this point. It seems so strong for them.
Yeah, they look so
Gotta say though,
it.
if I'm Crabble, what's the go next? What are we thinking about for push? Right, because you've kind of lost out playing this Diva strat. You kind of looked like you wanted to play kind of, I believe it was Ramat strat earlier on that we kind of just struggle with. So one would imagine maybe something like a Colosseum where there aren't these angles to control. But it's a little bit rough, actually. I think that your best shot probably would be Colosseum, thinking it through now. New Queen Street, going to be rough just because of how many high grounds there are. A Diva is going to pick you apart, and each answer are much the same. So I would expect a Colosseum. We'll have to wait and see what they actually come through with, though.
Yeah, I think if you're looking to play something that's a bit more ground-based, a bit more front to back, then Colosseum seems like the good choice. I mean, it's the classic solo queue pick, and it's definitely more of a lower elo solo queue thing, where you essentially just try and counter-pick their tank. But dare I say, on Colosseum, Zarya is playable. You're going to be able to get potentially put someone like Chicken on the Reaper again, which I think was kind of working, just missing a couple of resources and cooldowns to go alongside with it, giving that Reaper a Zarya bubble, even letting them play Genji, and just trying to play, like, as you said, ult trades. It looked like they were trying to trade Kiri Rush versus Nano Boost. They got a Nano Boost for themselves, and in the end, Militarum were just finding picks. Maybe try and play Zarya. Maybe try and play, I don't know, Zarya and a Brig. Is that entirely terrible? I don't think so. Just depends how much you can leverage just anchoring your Zarya on car. It's not the best. Probably prefer Lucio Moira with it. But something along the lines of a Zarya Reaper comp, if they go to Colosseum, is particularly strong historically, and it's going to be a great way at dealing with that Diva, most importantly, because I think that's like the first pillar that they have to knock down.
Yeah, I do agree. I do think that right now Ram is so strong that you might as well just play Ram. Of course, the Fists are also going to go through that defense matrix as well. I think that, again, we were talking about it in the pre-show, though. The important thing with Colosseum is going to be your Sojourn rails, right? So I would personally move towards something that's going to enable your rails as much as possible.
Thank you.
But we spent all this time talking for nothing, because New Queen Street's going through the map of choice. Super interesting, actually, because as we mentioned, normally that's where you do play some of these more mobile tank options. You've got the tubes you can jump into, and of course all the buildings as well, so elevated away from the robot that the DPS, like Tracers, like Sojourns, and tanks as well, will be able to use them as off angles. This is actually what I'd probably pick if I was Militarum going into a second map, so the fact that we see it here from Crabble is really curious to me.
I think they'd be so comfortable, Militarum, to be going to New Queen Street here. And this is not to say that, I mean, I think the Sojourn mirror is very, very close. Wide Earth were just able to get quite a lot of shots, particularly on the Cassidy. But Moon, historically, is someone that's been able to play Winston, to play Diva. Dare I say they play something like Sigma on this map? I'm not sure it's the greatest in the world, as you said. The angles at which your DPS are able to control. But they've got Magic Otter in, and that potentially means ball comp for Trap Ball.
I think that Sigma here is actually pretty strong. In first fight especially, it gets a little bit rough once you kind of leave the actual arena area of the map, because it's much easier to force a brawl onto the Sigma and kind of collapse on him. He can't obviously block out hammer swings nor fists with the grasp or the shield, so that's kind of where it's going to fall down a bit. Doesn't look like we're going to see it at all. Militarum, I mean, the Ram versus the Ryan matchup is always a little bit strange if we end up seeing it. And it looks like it is going to be real.
Okay.
Yeah, so Militarum are going to want to play the poke phase as long as possible. If they can just kite, then Magic Otter will be, in fact, a non-entity in this match, right? Flip side of things, Crab will want to get in close, because when Magic Otter's swinging, there's nothing really that Cypher can do about it.
Yeah, and Moon was just subbing for Magic Otter, right? Both tanks for Crab Ball unavailable, but now Magic Otter has found their way to their PC and able to play. So much more familiar style, a much more practice tank is in for Crab Ball. And it was close last map with a couple of fine margins. Maybe having the more standard, more recognised practice tank is all they need. As Chicken gets the opening pick onto Damien Dapp and gets one onto Cypher. Okay, the Cassidy's just been, well, taken up and taken out. Militarum just fall over to the cat.
I mean, fair enough. Militarum looked like they wanted to be able to take it mano a mano, and did just get taken down. All of Crabble just contributing, and it is Chicken's name on the frags, but all the team did put in the numbers. Most important thing to pay attention to here by far is going to be Lethal's ult charge, because already a significant window lead over Whispers, but if it comes up early in the Militarum, expect that could be a second fight just waterfalling in the way of Crabble as well.
Yeah, Frozen in the backline here, got a great engage, might potentially force a cooldown. Out for free, but no, they're just going to leave. Respect the Madrid. It's not a big one to get. You're not going to be happy with that. But Chicken is somehow shot and killed Cypher again. As the attention has been divided, Chicken is just not missing with these left clicks. Magic Otter gets a 5-stroke onto Whispers. No boy, Militarum loses really basically 2 quick fights here for nothing, Spectrion.
Yeah, that for nothing is the operative word, because remember, we were talking about that window. They've been able to save it through, they've been able to charge into yet more check marks and Whispers, still so far away from anything of their own. Militarum need to find pulse value here, and probably need to catch out a mistake with a speed boost, else you're just going to get rolled in also economy.
Yeah, and it looks like Magic Otter with this own shield is just able to live so much. Cypher with this bulky as a match should be is just living too much. But speaking of living, Whispers is absolutely not. Frozen. He's on the stick. They find one, they find two. Funny trades, but there we go. Frozen was a little bit quiet for some times of Hollywood, but not on a tracer map like this. Wide Earth luckily trades them back, puts an end to their shenanigans. But Crabwall don't care. Like, they're 71 meters already with 2.5 minutes gone. Like, they're getting into the final turn very, very quickly here.
Maybe not Robin cool, but Frozen right now is icy cold and just terrifying as well. The backline of Militarum has to be absolutely scared. Well, we won't complete that, but Militarum still very much struggling here. They will have control of the robot, at least for now. Deadeye's going to stop them in their tracks, though.
Okay, the high noon. Can they break the lamp? Because if so, Whispers is just a dead man walking. Yep, they absolutely do. Chicken just holds it and says, okay, I dare you to shoot me. And that time, Wide Earth did. High noon had ended though, so the damage reduction got applied. Oh, nice headshot onto P-Sev. But Frozen is still in this fight. You take down one DPS and another one is still there and dealing damage. And this is what Crabwall kind of need to do. They kind of have to do. They've got so much power, so much budget. Their power budget really exists so much in their DPS that both of them have to pop off. And it looks like this map, they've really, really woken up.
Frozen right now, it just looks absolutely unmatched. Sunny has not been able to check this tracer at all, and Wide Earth, I think, was going to have to pay a little bit more attention to making sure that this tracer isn't as free. I mean, if I'm Militarum, I'm maybe even considering a swap over to the Brigitte, losing out on that speed just to allow everyone to live for a little bit longer. As it stands, though, robots left in the center, and these longer silence that Militarum not really going to prefer.
Yeah, Militarum just looked split. Like, look at the distance between the Lucio, the Baptiste, and the Ramartra there. So a little bit of panic, I think, going through the side of Militarum. Definitely been hit with a big blow emotionally with that lead that Crabwall have got. Slowly starting to fire back. Frozen in the backline, looking to still find it. There we go. Cypher gets the first final blow of the map so far. Made it 1, make it 2, make it 3. And that was the fight that they needed to group up and just walk on Crabwall. It felt like they really weren't able to in the last 5 minutes. But there we go. Finally, they get there.
Damn hands! Raid E for everyone! All of Crabble getting caught with the fist of Cypher, and finally progress on the robot for Militarum. Able to save through the annihilation, the beat, and the window means that you're not too worried about your ult trays going further into the map, so Militarum, maybe the start of something beautiful here.
Yeah, and what's the Batman quote? The hammer of justice is unisex. Anyone can get it. Cypher is ready to keep on going. The beat comes down from Magpawler to keep them healthy. And the Run Hot Shield actually expires the Ramartra Ultimate Force, so they can't get that accruing tick. They can't keep the chains of corruption tethered to Crabwall to try and slowly drain the Nano Force, the Life Force out of them. Damien Dapp is killed. Where were you when Damien Dapp is killed? I was watching him completely ego there, Reinhardt. Magic Otter has found 2, and definitely you can see the improvement that Crabwall have gotten now that their Reinhardt and one of their actual tanks is back in, playing way more confidently.
And one of the big things about this Ram v Ryan matchup is the Earth Shatter. You can't block it. Well, you can, but it's borderline impossible. So once that shield comes out, Magic Otter is going to be so free to essentially just get a free kill on your front line. And that's why they decided to mirror the Reinhardt instead.
Yeah. And Reinhardt is, in EU, maybe a lot better than we actually think, but it's a very, very known character in this region. And I think it's just really hard to kill. Like, Tracer does no damage to the Reinhardt now. So you're really just essentially never shooting that tank if you are the time-traveling British lesbian. You're just looking to find anything else. Magic Otter goes for the slam, it misses. But it buys a lot of space. However, that space has been forfeited as Chicken is dead. Now can they walk on Magic Otter? It feels like they definitely should. Never mind, they're just ignoring the Reinhardt. Get the Reinhardt last, go for the support. Good knockdown from Cypher. And again, really nice fight from Militarum. They lose a bit of progress, but not much.
And is it a surprise that we're just seeing a Rhine mirror? I feel like I'm a little bit shocked, but like, yeah, exactly. It feels like a kind of return to monkey almost scenario, where if you don't know what to do, you just play Rhine, and Militarum Crabble seem more than happy to battle with the German Crusader. Right now, though, I mean, such a huge lead in Shatter Charge from Cypher. If this fight goes long, the Militarum are just going to win out with the benefit of that particular ultimate.
And the Reinhardt just gives you a lot more standard front to back. It means your tank is quite durable, especially durable, because the armor changes on this path. Whispers, no, the lamp does not just around the corner. They jump. Why did he jump? Why did he jump? Violent moment. Unfortunately, he got the window. Little bit of panic there coming out from the captain flag support of Militarum, and it's just so brutally punished. Like, you can see the level of mechanics on display from both of these teams. Crabwall in particular there. Whispers makes a tiny mistake, Spectron, and he's just completely 100 to 0.
I mean, Whispers, I think, his PayPal pinged. He's got a bit of a notification.
Oh no!
$20, and Crab will get the fight.
Oh no!
I mean, in terms of how they win this next fight, though, you have to play for the beat. Once you do that, you probably want to respond to their push, counter beat, and win that out. If you get shattered, it's game over, so blocking is essential.
Lethal? Lethal? Where's your lamp?
No lamp?
Lamp check. I guess it was still on cooldown, but if Sunny hits the perfect timing, let's just call it skill. If Sunny finds another one, Chicken trades back, but already the damage is done. I mean, that was a quick fight. Guys, Tracer is a strong character. Who knew?
Shocker, really. I mean, Frozen tried to clutch it out there, but unfortunately, just doing a little bit of drywall destruction doesn't do too much to the forces of the Militarum, who can get it back towards the center of the map. Time getting lower, though. If I'm Crabble, I'm maybe stopping thinking about actually getting fight wins and just burning time, but Frozen just gets flattened.
Oh, Wide Earth is on such a weird angle there, but it manages to perfectly counteract Frozen. They go for the push into that train car. The slam comes down from Cypher. It's going to force Lamp at least, and Lethal does go down after. It's a great focus from Militarum with 2 minutes left on the clock. The momentum is slowly starting to build, and they've got ultimates online to keep this train going.
And again, all you really need to do here as a defender is to burn time, but giving over a first kill that quickly means that forward spawns are going to be unlocked, and Crabble on the back foot now. Very possible for Militarum to take back their lead. Bastion for Chicken, they just have to front load this damage yet more. It's going to make Cypher's life at least a hell of a lot harder, but it also makes this comp of Crabble incredibly inflexible.
I was wondering when the Bastion from Chicken would come out. Always a fan of these kind of heroes. And it's so simple. You just run in a straight line and you run at Chicken. You either take all the Reinhardt shield, you take anyone behind the Reinhardt, like we see there, or you just kill the Reinhardt after burning the shield. High ground, high noon from Whispers, looking to try and find anything. Any trade that Whispers and Wide Earth can get on this high ground is good. Oh, Sunny finds a nice blink belly to stick onto the Bastion as well. Wait, Sunny! Sunny finds 3! No way! 1v3 situation. And it's so big, most importantly for respawns and tempo for Crabble. They get to push this bot so back, but not after Sunny kills 3. Potentially game saving there from the Tracer of Militarum. That was nuts.
That was a crazy sequence from Sunny, and with those 3 kills, I mean, Frozen's not going to do the exact same things for the rest of Militarum, so Cart can go right back to where it started, and all that time spent for absolutely naught. Crabble don't need to win it out. 30 seconds here. All they need to do is get ult advantage for overtime.
Damien Dabbs marking Frozen on the angle. Sunny comes in after. It's a little bit of a late Tracer Lucio split, but Sunny just dives through window. They drop out, and that's a right click of hell for sure. Chicken doing so much damage through the window. Now that Frozen plays 22 seconds left, Crabble should be looking to just walk this one back as far as they can. Give Militarum as many fights as possible. They need to win, and they still got sound barrier for that penultimate fight. All they need is one.
I mean, I wasn't a fan of engaging there with ultimates from Crabble, but because Militarum staggered themselves out for so long, I'm not even sure a touch is a possibility. 2 seconds, yeah. They just can't make it to the objective. Overtime's going to be started, but Sonny gives his life for it. There won't be a full 5v5. In fact, there won't be a fight at all. It's a double kill from Chicken, and Militarum get their map.
Yeah, nice adjustment from Crabble in the end. The Bastion from Chicken just really, really sealed it. And that's a confidence raiser for them for sure. They've got Magidotta back now. And they're slowly starting to get to grips. As I said, Militarum just felt like they lost a bit too many fights early. About that all-important snowball ended up really coming back to bite them. And sometimes that can be the nature of push. It feels like Spectrion, even though you see comebacks on Esperanza and Coliseo in particular, I feel like New Queen Street, if you can get to like 90 meters or so with like in 2 or 3 minutes, that's all you need.
I mean, you're not realistically pushing past that kind of building just past the forward spawns, right? You don't do it. You have to push into high ground and then into open space. It's just borderline impossible. So once you've kind of got it just past forward spawns, you've essentially just finished the map, and it's about getting your extra inch or so above your opponent, which is what's going to get you the victory or defeat. And I mentioned it before, I'll mention it again. I think the Militarum, or in that final push, sorry, the engage at about 40 seconds, typically I wouldn't like. You can kind of dive reset in about 10. You've got the respawns, you can come back and get a last second touch, is the standard play. If you don't reset in time though, and you stagger till 10 seconds in, you're cooked, it's GG, the map's going to go against you, and a little bit of egg on the face of the losing team there. Either way, I think both teams could have played that slightly more optimally, but when all's said and done, obviously, map's going to be concluded going one way all the same.
Yeah, absolutely. And Crabble make the key adjustment, then they're not going to care. Militarum was thrown a lifeline at the hands of Sonny, but in the end, it's a difficult retake even still in itself, because you've got to accurately track what ultimates, who's actually alive to use their ultimates, and etc. So it's a wealth of information flooding into their brains, and unfortunately, they got hit with an infinite void type overload, I think. But we're going to be throwing you to break now, so don't go anywhere, gamers. Rally Rumble will return after this. 1-1 between Militarum and Crabble. When we get back, we're going to Flashpoint. I hate that mode. See you after the break. Hello, welcome back. After that short break, the Rally Rumble returns, and basically we've got a first to two situation just like we did in the Swiss stage. It's effectively been reset. Militarum, as the higher seed, get the pick of Flashpoint, and now normally map advantage can be big in BPL, but not when we're going over to Flashpoint or Push, because there's like 2 maps to pick from Flashpoint.
Yeah,
so it's effectively Suravasa.
I gotta say, we gotta like roll some of these modes into one, because the map pick of having 2,
Make more maps.
it's goofy. Make more maps. Stop making more modes. Whatever they're doing with the new like 5 CP, I don't want it. It sounds terrible. Get it in the bin. Just make more Flashpoint modes. I promise you, it will make the game so much better. More Push as well. 3 is okay, but we want more variety. So Blizzard, if you don't, we'll be having words. As you mentioned, though, Suravasa, very, very likely. A lot of teams really do like to prefer that. New Junk City is a little bit funkier.
Who plays it?
A couple teams. I think I think New Junk City has some longer sight lines aside from Arena. Arena is just Brawl Central, though. So if you like playing Ram Sojun, you like playing New Junk City. If you don't like playing Ram Sojun, which is kind of everyone, then you're going to end up playing Suravasa, because you can play everything on Suravasa.
True.
Just kind of how the maps end up working out. So, like I said, if I was betting, it's like solid 70-30 odds to Suravasa. And we'll see what these 2 teams elect to pick.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, wow. I'm so surprised. See how surprised I am?
He's really surprised, as you can tell. Most surprised EU person over there. Suravasa was also the map that Militarum won yesterday off Thievin to take the 2-1, so they've got practice on it. And I think it's good for both teams. Again, Militarum really like this sort of control, ult-centric, space and pace kind of style, as in you play for space, and then your Sojourn hits a railgun, and then you pace onto the enemy team and clean them up after that insane amount of burst damage. So Suravasa was a perfect point for that. But Magidota coming back in for Crab Ball, they were playing the Reinhardt there, they were playing the Ramatra, and could we see a rush mirror on Suravasa like the whole way through? I think it's potentially reasonable.
Yeah, we could definitely see that, to be honest. There's nothing saying we can't. I mean, we could be seeing Queen comp as well. Queen is still, I think, in a pretty good place this patch, and I think Queen is going to play a lot like a brush in a lot of ways, can often function as more of a dive as well with how the angles end up playing out. Could also be seeing a Monkey. I think Monkey is still strong, just if you want to play that, if you're feeling particularly funky, then Monkey, pretty reasonable as well, but I don't know. I kind of think these 2 teams have had their first taste of Rush, and once teams begin to go towards it, they're not going to look back.
Yeah, it's sometimes...
we don't have goats anymore. But when in doubt, we still goats it out.
Absolutely. It just feels like it's such a default comp, and you feel like no matter how good you are like individually or how good you are as a team, it feels like you can always leverage one or the other. You got the individual playmaking, something like the Baptiste or the Reinhardt mirror 1v1, or you should just play Mei and stack as a team and go from there. There's been a lack of that. The Chinese Banshee, as sometimes I refer to her as, because she really is a devil in Banshee. There you go, a devil in ice is that Mei character for so many teams. But the Mei is, maybe we see it, maybe we don't. But she's been missing so far from these rush mirrors. Is Suravasa potentially too warm of a climate? Now, Crab Ball might get India buff from Captain Prash, which would be very unfair, and there would be some majestic Wuju going on there, which I do not condone, I do not allow. But we'll see. Overall, I think Crab Ball probably pretty decently suited, especially if they're going to play Bastion.
I think last time Captain Prash played Suravasa in a tournament, it was in CGL. I actually lost that out, so I'm actually not sure if India buff still applies. I think it might have lost its magic. Tried it too much.
No, it's a buff that they have to give to someone else, you know?
Ooh, Rush Mirror at least. Yeah, I mean, it's continuing. Bastion still for chicken, going to make Cypher's life about as uncomfortable as you can make it, with 5 providing the only sustainability. Militarum going to have to play some very, very short cycles. They just can't stay in for long.
No, they really can't. Cypher's going to be shot and probably killed a fair bit in this match, but the good thing is that Wydref is on Sojourn, and Sojourn is just so good against Bastion. Easy railgun charge, easy railgun shots, and that's really the main thing that you're looking at if you're Militarum. It's when does this Bastion go in? Can we kite the form? Can we punish them after? Here we go, the shift is applied, And let's see, can Militarum type this out? Because once it drops, they've got a great angle to go in. Unfortunately, they just give up the point for it. White Earth still on the high ground now. Now is the time for Militarum to strike. Let's see what they go for. Because right now it's just still a little bit of AFK. The Warp is not happening. Now the form comes out. But the Bastion could be up any second now. There we go. The second point of the form is still there. It's kind of a disaster for Militarum. Their timing is a bit orange. That means Cypher just gets run down. They get run over. And it's the second bite of the cherry. All the meanwhile, Crabwall are still on this point. White Earth killing Chicken. It's going to be a hard fight for Militarum for sure, but they're not willing to give it up just yet. But all the meanwhile, again, Spectron, Crabwall is still on the point.
Yeah, I mean, they just can't dislodge White Earth, especially on this high ground. Who's going to look at him? Who's going to take care of the Sojourn? Answers nobody. And so Militarum back now on the Diva composition to try and sustain against the Bastion. Get the cap back. 50% here for Crabbull and a window 2 for good measure.
Oh, the stick comes in, Care Pulse, and it doesn't. Frozen goes down, Chicky goes to 1 HP, and the Bastion is dead, so that's a great chance for Militarum to just chill out and stagger now. Killing the Bastion essentially means their fight's won if they don't get a bit giddy, and it looks like Damien Dapp definitely did. You hate to see it, but sometimes Alicia can just be caught. The Jakes come on top of the high ground, then just White Earth will slide over to use those. It's a nice investment, I think, from Militarum. It looks like Crabwall can really stagger themselves here.
I got a little bit stressed there that Magic also be able to charge the Shatter, turn the tables, but Cypher's able to get the cleanup with the aid of the Kitsune Rush. And 75%. Jace, I'm not quite sure any other touch can come through, so Militarum look to turn the tables on their attackers and take the first Flashpoint market is going to be theirs. And as we start thinking about what's going to happen next, the threat of the Earth Shatter has to come up. Two ways of playing around it. You can either cleanse it or you can beat it, and either way is low percentage, I'll put it that way. So Crab will have a huge tool here. If they can leverage it correctly, first cap should be going their way.
Also, how bad does it feel to beat an Earth Shatter, by the way? Like, even if it's the optimal move, how awful is it? Like, do you want to really use your sound barrier for an Earth Shatter? For God's sake, you definitely don't. But Magic has got the swing here. They need to care the hammer, because the hammer may be going down and it may be knocking a couple of people to the floor with it. Well-done charge is available from White Earth. This is a great point, actually, for Sojourn angles, but they've got to get the cap. Something gets a bit too adventurous and meets the triple fire from after lethal. The hammer, there we go, comes down, instantly cleansed, instantly beaten. White Earth stays on the map thanks to that slide. But Crabwall still on the point. White Earth does go into the OC, doesn't find anything there. That's essentially been negated. Militarum now down resources. They just got to do it by themselves in the neutral. Frozen, helping the Tracer 1v1. Stick comes down, it goes wide. Cypher finds 2 on the point. No, the Diva clearly cleaning up in the back. And Frozen, the main threat for Crabwall on Tracer here, is just getting dealt with.
Yeah, a bomb goes off from the point. We'll find not a Soul Cypher. Instead, the first full Pulse Bomb onto Magic also takes care. So no tanks in the server. Just a Tracer Jewel on the point, and Sunny is cleaning up, looking for more bodies as well. Magpolar will be taken down by his opposite number, and it's going to be a Militarum cap once again. They get about to half do Crabwall, but it's Militarum who kept the long-term control of the objective. Cypher as well on the Sigma now, so they want to extend these poke phases to both of these teams. Magic also even mirroring it out.
I love the angle that White Earth is on here, by the way. This was such a demonstrable, performance from White Earth on this point, particularly on an angle like that. It was so hard for Steven to rotate yesterday. And Crabwall, nice passing though, they go underneath and they wrap around. So it's Sigma Mirror. The hands come out early in Cypher, they're going to get punished and pushed away. The window comes out, the rush comes out in response. Cypher hits their rock, so both Sigmas down Accretion and down Grass. Which support line to keep them alive? It's probably going to be the one with Sound Barrier, but 5 Kitsune Rush is just meant Crabwall run for the exits. The hills, they are not welcome in the land of the magical fox. The Kitsune definitely torn down, but White Earth gets torn apart. 5 is going to relocate now because they are not safe. Now that the Sojourn is dead, Frozen and Chicken both get a pick. The 99 comes up. So not bad for Militarum, but I mean, you use all your ultimates, like you kind of want to win those, you know?
Yeah, if I'm Militarum, I'm really thinking about how I can actually crack this particular nut open, and it's tricky. I'll put it that way. Obviously, Pulse Pick, obviously Railgun. That's kind of your only real tools, because in any attempt to ult trade, you're going to end up in about an equivalent scenario to Crabwall. Yes, you do have some beat advantage, but it's somewhat hard to leverage that into a kill, especially when the threat of the Flux is still on the horizon.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's going to be...
Bloody hell, man.
It's going to be one hell of a dance. That's the most British thing ever. Classic British, isn't there? From Smetreon, been exposed. But it's going to be one hell of a dance between both of these traces in particular. It's got to be graceful. If the nut is going to be cracked at all, is this the swan song for them in this fight? Though 99 to 99, so Crabwall have got in there from only 40%. 5 dives, Damien Dab dives, the rotation is awful. And they have been brought to a swift end for this point. Crabwall going to tie up the series. Wider commits the overclock in a lost fight. You hate to see it. But Militarum, I don't think Militarum should have mirrored the Sigma. I think Cypher could have just still played D.Va here, but be honest, he doesn't look as comfortable on it.
I think D.Va would somewhat struggle into Sigma, going to kind of lose out on the poke. Those fusion cannons aren't going to do the same damage that the Hyper Orbs are going to. But I will say for Militarum now, they're in such a good spot economically that all they need to do is trade somewhat efficiently and they should be able to take the next. Flux, doubles portals, is borderline unlosable. All they need to do is not concede a pick, not overalls.
Yeah, you gotta not get your ult cancelled, which I believe the only way is Rock or potentially Hindernay, but I'm not even sure if it does. Here we go, the Flux comes in, Chicken is lifted up into the air, the Sky Noon goes down, but you're just lifted into a ceiling. But unfortunately, you cannot shoot through ceilings in Overwatch. Oh, Wide Earth gets boobed by Magpolar though. The sound barrier comes in from Damien Dab to try and get it. It feels like it was Militarum's point to lose, but Crabwall have gotten ultimates online. Now they've got sound barrier again ready to go. 5 commits to Kitsune Rush. They're still trying to win this point. The Bat Beast is so low. Finally, they are cleaned up. Frozen, 75 HP, can't really try and do anything, just has to free hit Cypher, who's looking at literally everyone else. Damien Dab gets a kill on the opposite number, Damien Dab gets a second, and Militarum, like they cap, but again, Crabwall get essentially a free 44% on the point. Ooh. Spectrion potentially AFK. Have we had a ping issue? I'm not sure. Either that or the mic isn't working, but yeah, Crabwall, like 48% on the point. Is very, very important for them because now essentially they can retake with a couple of ultimates and they can play a lost fight until they get to 99 and then they win the fight after. Cypher just gets blown up though. The time barrier comes in from Mad.
This is why I am so against trying to clutch almost any fight with ultimates in Overwatch because yes, Militarum do end up just getting the victory here.
Oh no, Spectron is like Omega F'd. Oh no, they might be casting in 2022 here. It's all good. For now though, Crabwall are in a good spot. Again, 75%. It just feels like Militarum gave them that first cap for free. Major beef with the engage for them. Really been struggling in this Rush Mirror. Frozen yet to pick onto Wide Earth, and that's been their main shooter so far this tournament. Nice window from a lethal. Cypher goes down, and they are struggling here. Crabwall potentially give themselves the all-important second point. They do manage to secure it, and all they need is one. And when you're up 2-1 in this situation, you can just stack ultimates and play for the perfect fight. It might be this one. It might be point 2. Sorry, it might be point 4. It might even be point 5. That is all that they need. Flux comes up. Cypher does not manage to hit the floor. They are just hung in midair, suspended, and Chicken is all but eager to clean them up. Down they go. And that is all she wrote for that fight. Militarum, it's really bold right now. I think the farm barrier is good. Sunny really needs to find a couple of these angles. They were like so good on New Queen Street, and now they've just not been able to get anywhere near as much value compared to what they were able to on NQF. The punch comes in from Cypher. This is big though. Does the sound barrier come down? Is it needed? Resources down. Crabwall really fall to low HP, but Militarum don't push in. There we go. Bipolar and Frozen dead. That should just be the fight. And it's big for Militarum, right? Like now I'm solo casting. This is effectively just a little bit of a JC Apto stream, so I won't go for too much. But good for Militarum. Crabwall is still like in kind of a fine spot here, right? Like Lethal's got window, and a lot of tanks in this level and in these kind of tournaments, I feel like really do disrespect windows, and they just don't track it. Like Cypher could just get windowed here, and if they get rocked, they are just immediately dead. Like look at Cypher's HP already as the fight starts. Great work from Crabwall more so than anything. It's not really a mistake from Militarum, just a good job, but now they give so much space. Cypher even dies, the sound barrier comes in too late. Oh, Damien Dap, it's like the worst feeling in the world when you sound barrier and your tank dies because that fight is gone, it's chucked, and you use one of the best ultimates in your comp, dare I say it. And oh boy, it's a disaster, particularly when Flashpoint is so punishing. Like, this could just be the map for Crab Ball right now, because Damien Dapp uses an ult. Now Militarum only have High Noon, and Mad Polar can just beat and walk on them with HP advantage. It's really rough for Militarum right now. Let's see that. Wide Earth kills Chicken though, so that's big. Mad Polar goes for the beat. Are we going to see 2 beats in a row? Result in lost fight, but Militarum have to touch the point, and they win the cast animation. Can they get to it? It looks like they can. Sunny dies, but most importantly, Wide Earth is going to keep them alive when it mattered in the 11th hour. They were down ultimates. Chicken goes down to the Bastion, and Militarum will just about hang on.
Yeah, by the looks of things, looks like everything's back now. Hopefully everything will end up lasting in terms of my internet. Militarum as well want to last on the objective, and with the Flux especially, they are looking to do so. I would like to take an early fight here if I was Militarum actually, because 80%, if you can stop Crab Ball from reaching the objective at all, could be hugely advantageous to your cause.
The Flux comes in. Looks like Crab Ball might potentially get a flip on the point. Wider falls though to Chicken, so it's not good. The rotation from Crab Ball, I think they just sort of flipped map, and the window from 5 was good, but unfortunately wasn't good enough. Wide Earth died, they had the ultimate. The fact that Crab Ball get it to 99 is good in itself. Cypher's rocked out. Great accretion from Magic Otter. Again, it could just be another nail in the hammer. Cypher gets so low, the shield is immediately thrust into their face. Chicken gets another form of the Bastion, and that's going to be it. Crab Ball taking a 2-1 lead in this series. Saravasa played so well by them. The rush, they just looked more comfortable on this Sigma Rush composition. The Bastion from Chicken has been so good. And Crab Ball moved to match point.
I think that Sigma is a bit of a sleeper pick on current patch. I think he's really benefited from the headshot reduction, and with the armor changes, either way, he's not really affected. So I think that right now he's in a kind of sleeper strong place in the meta. That's why we're seeing the mirror here, and Crab Ball, because they seem to be a little bit more comfortable on that composition, end up with the lead. As you mentioned, 2-1. They're feeling pretty comfortable with how they have to play, and their opponent's Militarum. I mean, 2 in a row isn't impossible, Jace, but it's a lot more pressure than maybe you'd like to be under.
It's definitely a difficult spot now for Militarum, because now that Crab Ball are in this spot, they're going to get potentially a map pick if they go to map 5, and that is Escort. Which means their comp does get weaker, but now we're going over to control, right? So again, a mode where rush compositions, where Sigma Bastion is good. Are we going to see shades of the Saudi World Cup comp, the Mickey Mouse composition, as some people have called it? Are we going to see it? Because so far it's been getting great value for Crab Ball, and Spectron, I don't think Militarum have found a good enough answer to this Bastion. It feels like they're just losing too many fights to the turret form.
I think we definitely could, and I think that especially on some of the control points we could see Bastion is just going to be super free. I mean, the ability to clear space with your singular cooldown, the amount of space it can just like command control is absolutely brutal. So I think it's definitely a possibility. There are definitely adaptations you can make to survive the Bastion. I've seen Ramachas played, but with the DPS passive, you can't really use your HP as so much of a Bastion against it anymore. There's options, yes, but it's a little bit rough, and I don't think either of these teams love playing dive comps just to flatten the Bastion once that turret form has been exhausted. So, again, there are things that we can see to allow Militarum to play against the Bastion. But also, playing Bastion is really easy, and countering Bastion is relatively tricky. And that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes, so I think a mirror might be where we end up here.
What if you just played a Bastion yourself? You know, the counter to Bastion is Bastion, the counter to Sojourn is Sojourn. The counter to Widowmaker is to be a better Widowmaker. And I feel like when I'm looking at it just in terms of flat amounts, with some really bad mistakes from Militarum, particularly on that map, beating just before Cypher died, beating just after Cypher died, not able to keep that Sigma alive, was so rough. And really costly ultimate there. Unfortunately, it did come back to bite them. Getting the Flux rugged out, it happens, you know, more so just a big outplay from Magic Otter. And the pick is going to be Lijiang Tower for Militarum. Crab Ball only played it once, they are 0-1. Militarum 2-1 on it. And their loss came against Steven, who really played a comp that they had no idea how to deal with. It might be the same thing here. Militarum have got to come up against a comp that they've not played, and they've got to crack it, but for now, Crabball are in such a prime position to be able to take this series.
Could well be, but at least in terms of statistics, it does seem like there's a bit of a lead here for Militarum. Of course, they are, I believe, behind in the series. Gonna have to wait and see how everything works out. Remember, we were talking about Bastion being able to effectively clear space, and I'd argue his weakest point is actually going to end up being a control center. Actually, you don't have these sidelines where you can just kind of peek everything at the same time and keep some level of separation from your opponents. Yeah. It's a little bit easier to rush down the Bastion there. On the other two, though, when the Bastion uses the turret form, you're going to have to scarper to the ends of the earth to avoid it. That's what I'm kind of worried about, because if you can't do that in a safe and effective manner, it's going to be tricky, I'll put it that way, to actually find much done, because you're going to be losing out so much so quickly.
Absolutely, and I think it's really going to be difficult for both of these tanks going into this map. As I was saying, it just feels like Cypher is getting shot way more than Magic on it. And ultimately, with the DPS passive being in the game, you can just zip down a tank and play from there. You know, any pick in Overwatch 2 is great, but killing the tank first almost feels like a death sentence for a team in a fight.
It just is. They're so strong. They're like giga buffed. I'd say if you lose your tank, then you need to kill about 2 people to bring yourself back to an even scenario, to non-tanks. A tank is just worth so much, especially with the headshot changes. See what we're seeing. Bastion's out once again from Crabball. Militarum want to play the D.Va Sojourn to live it.
Definitely. D.Va should be good. You've got a limited supply of defense matrix. Getting rocked as you're DMing the Bastion is going to be rough. Chicken now with no form means Militarum should be able to walk in essentially no fear, because the Bastion hitbox is so big. There should be a railgun. No lamp available as well, but Crabball have again staved it off. Great job to peel as soon as Chicken gets out of that form. Remember, the damage reduction means they're basically safe in the turret, but afterwards is where the real nail comes in. Nice Yuzu to cover Cypher, so it might be a 1-for-1 trade. It's going to be mech for Bastion, but I think losing the Bastion here should just be more important. But Crabball not agreeing with me. Cypher bounced by the orbs of the Sigma, and yeah, just the Sigma having all those cooldowns to be able to walk on Militarum. So this is going to be, I think, a really particularly tricky point for Wide Earth to find angles on the Sojourn.
Yeah, that's entirely true, actually. But another issue here that Crabball are having, or that Militarum, sorry, are having, is that the cap goes over so early that they just stagger themselves out for about 20%. That gives up so much free percentage to Crabball, who are going to be at least 50, no matter how this next fight ends. They need to charge into an overclock. If they can't do that, then I just don't think they have much chance in this fight here, Jace.
It's going to be difficult, that's for sure, but not when you can get a Sojourn. The power of the railgun, Sunny finds her way into the backline, finds Pulse Bomb. And even though Cypher goes out of mech, the damage has been done. Nice rotation from White Room, and when you lose, basically give up 50%, only losing one fight, what you want is you want to win quickly, and that's exactly what they did. So good recovery from Militarum there, and most importantly, keeping on the rules.
Exactly, that's going to be huge to begin a snowball. Some sort of snowball is essential. But once the Bastion's knocked off a defending perch, attacking is that's the really tricky part. So Militarum, if they build this mech in time, as indeed they will, may punish and rotate, or instead might just bully the choke and hope that Chicken can't walk it for free.
It's going to be really rough here, because if the Kitsune Rush comes down, Sunny finds lethal instantly. The attack speed from the Tracer, just one clipping. And there we go, Cypher getting the adjusted heal and the adjusted damage. Essentially, Militarum just stat check this fight. If you're familiar with the term, you know what I mean. If not, they've got more attack speed, more HP, more healing per second. They just say, we've got more numbers than you do.
Rush is just such a good ultimate. One of the absolute strongest in the video game, and nothing much that Crabball can do but sit there and take it. Ult's now back online. Beat is going to be there for the Flux, so Ajaxing Damien Dap could be the name of the game here for Crabball.
Here we go. The Flux comes in. I believe it only gets one. The D.Va Bomb comes out in response from Cypher. Is anyone locked in position? Do they deny the walk in? It might have been spaced wider. Pop the railgun as well. So this is a big investment from Militarum in this fight. They burn down 3, but Crabball also use a big engage ultimate. Chicken getting off the Bastion, I think, is a huge sigh of relief for them. Just been a thorn in their side. And now the score is basically even.
Heavy ults from Militarum, though. They use the beat and the D.Va Bomb to survive the Flux for certain, and the overclock to turn the tables on their opponents, sorry. Yeah, it does work, but it does mean that they don't really have too much to do here. So Magpolo's got a free beat, and Frozen, of course, trade pulse wins with Sunny till the cows come home. So again, in White Room, now on the Reinhardt, see if Crabball can find anything else.
The hard part about this for Militarum in particular is that with the percentage of their ultimates, they kind of have to play as long as possible here, like almost to an effective 130%, if you imagine how the time will tick over, because their ultimate economy is weak compared to Crab Ball, and that is not what you want, because Cypher just dies early, Sunny also dies, and Crab Ball getting this quick flip means that Militarum were getting 99 anyway, guys, but Crab Ball only expend one ultimate, and now they still have ult advantage. Militarum needed to exit that fight if they were going to win it with more ults than they currently do.
They don't really have the time to take 2 fights, but they do have one for at least a slow fight. So if you play for a Kitsune Rush here, or a pick, I think Militarum have a chance. If they try and take a kind of brawl fight that they seem to be posturing for, they're just going to get killed. They're going to get ruined by the double spawns of Crab Ball. So Militarum have to play patient, they have to play for time.
Yeah, and patience has been good for them so far, and Whispers has luckily charged this like lightning fast. So good. Now that we're heading in to 85%, absolutely is going to be last fight. And this window comes down from lethal. And Militarum don't need to peek it. They can just go around the angle. Chicken is done on the outside though. This potentially could be instant. It is. Wide Earth punishes them. What are you doing, Chicken? They get a little bit too antsy. They get too ego, dare I say it. And now the sound barrier comes in. Magidotto does not get it even. They get cut off and they're so low. And now the Kitsune Rush comes in from Cypher. And this was so well played, to be honest, from Militarum. Mistake from Chicken, I'm going to say it. You have to call a spade, especially on. But really good patience from Militarum there.
And Wide Earth, sorry, finds a lovely double to close things out. Militarum back and forth here on Gardens, but when it's all said and done, they do take the control point. Chicken, I hit the headshot first. Maybe true, may not be, but either way, unfortunately, mate, you ain't win the round. Remember what we said earlier about this being, in my opinion, probably the weakest map for Bastion? Crab Ball aren't even looking to lock it. Looks like they want to play a Symmetra composition instead. Still has that super high damage, and running the Symmetra with the Cassidy, I think, is pretty interesting. Yeah. A lot of the time you play the Symmetra almost as a hit scan, and no, they're back over to the Bastion. They're going to do TP Bastion strats here, Jace. They think they're London.
Yeah, Frozen could still go over to the Tracer, remember, just TP out of spawn, but it could just be Sim Bastion, because Reinhardt and Sim are just going to be great at running at the Diva, and then it's going to put Cypher between a rock and a hard play. So yeah, Frozen is going to stay on the Sim, which means Crab Ball are just going to instantly almost take White Room by their H keys, and their H keys alone. What did Militarum do in response? One of the first things I'd do is, ironically, swap Diva. Cypher just dies. That is the Diva experience into this composition. Sunny's got to try and find a trade, and now, again, we're seeing Militarum lose the first fight and give over percentage of the point. Do they decide to stick on the baby Diva? There's been no swap. If I'm Cypher, I kind of just run to the point, die, and then get off this character.
I'd go Rhine, Bastion, May here, just take the ball if I had the full option to swap, but Militarum want to stay in. They want to keep playing these more angles-based compositions. The issue, though, is that a teleported Rhine Bastion is just going to ruin any offense we try to take.
Now that Sunny dies again, this is absolutely the ST for them. They're building a little bit of ult percentage, but Wide Earth is getting close to their ultimate. They're going to get shredded down here. Cypher does not lose mech. You think it would have been disastrous if that Diva managed to. This is just going to give gates over to Whispers, though, with all this poke going in. But Crab Ball have done a northern hold. They've done a further hold than they were able to before. I mean, potentially means they get run out as Magidotto just falls. Wait, the Reinhardt dies. It's absolutely runner, even without Kitsune Rush. And now that the Reinhardt is dead, it feels like the whole composition for Crab Ball falls apart, because Chicken can get looked at, Frozen can get looked at, and they do. Both their DPS die. Militarum have been handed potentially a lifeline in the hands of some insane burst damage and focus fire going on to Magidotto.
Yeah, I mean, a Rhine with no shield is like an angel without its wings, and also is going to fall to the ground pretty quick. Like, Crab Ball just get absolutely flattened once the shield cracks, and the Militarum now in control. Kind of a bit of an easier time. No TP to break the choke. It's a pulse from here. Could be brutal. Lamped.
Okay, but it forces Lamp, though, which is so important for Crab Ball's rotation, right? The form comes in, the window comes in, and the amplification matrix, and it's just, well, it was mostly Sim Ward. I like the idea actually from Frozen to try and cover it as well, and Crab Ball just kind of press Q here. The Jake comes down in Militarum. It's one ultimate for 3, to be honest, at the end of the day.
Yeah, that is true. I also think that these are some super valuable ultimates as well. I mean, the beat, and especially the symbol, huge tools to try and throw out there, and Crab Ball decide they don't want the Symmetra anymore, so double hit scan setup. So much raw damage, but Frozen going to be pretty squishy now, and there isn't that utility for Magidotto to play with.
No, here we go. The Bastion ult comes down onto point, and it's going to be going wide. Wide Earth is on this angle, but just gets clicked on by Frozen 1v2. Actually, no, Damien isn't there to support the Soldier on the off angle. A little bit potentially of a positioning mistake. Militarum getting so split now at 75%, having to just use the bomb to remech is so rough. It's so brutal. Remember, you lost Gates to re-engage 2 awful spots, Militarum, but Crabball are going to be so happy to see this.
I'm really not in love with sticking with the D.Va for this long.
I don't like it.
Decide to stick with it, but I mean, at what cost? Magicotto's got an Earth Shatter here, Jace. That might spell the end of Militarum here on this point.
Yeah, it's just sort of never worked into the Bastion. There's too many things for Cypher to look at. The beat comes down from Damien Dapp, who does not get Earth Shattered. Whispers does. But Magicotta is just able to charge onto Cypher, and Cypher dies yet again. This D.Va is able to fall too easily. Pulse Bomb unfortunately hits the wall, does not get around the corner. Lamp comes in, Sunny cannot clean up that Bastion. That resource still available. And PSEV's window is all that they need. And we're going to Night March here. Again, bit of a questionable comp decision for Militarum, particularly in the tank department, but it's also the really good play of Crabball. They are punishing every single micro mistake that Militarum are making here.
Yeah, again, I'm just not a huge fan of the D.Va here. I think the D.Va is especially strong when you have big high grounds to play around and when you have easy defensive positioning. I think that's where she shines the brightest. And I think generally on, neutral map types, like Control especially, like First Light Push, like Flashpoint as well, she's going to struggle a lot more than these biased sides, these biased types, like, for example, an Escort, like a Hybrid. So that's kind of partially what we're seeing there. And also just the lack of angles that you can take. You're just going to run into Bastion and Ryan time and time again. You're losing that frontline trade time and time again. Gimmick strat, TP into the window here allows Militarum with point control first, but with a Bastion staring you down, panel with our last 4.
Exactly. Are you just sitting ducks at this point? Are you just waiting for Chicken to roll in with the wheels and try and find some space? But luckily, Cypher back on the Rhine. It's going to be more comfortable for them than the D.Va, I think. And Sunny, well, Sunny is dead, unfortunately. The swing comes in. Whispers has to retreat to the other side. So now the tank split. Cypher just takes so much damage. And Militarum again, just completely divided by the aggressive push. Wide Earth gets a kill onto Magicotta though. But Chicken finds a 2k. And this Bastion has been a problem all series long for Militarum. They cannot deal with it.
I mean, it just seems like they have no idea how to deal with it, right? I mean, there's so much kind of respect given to the Bastion of Chicken that they're almost losing because of the threat of the Bastion, sometimes more than the Bastion itself. And when they try and remedy that, well, the actual Bastion's the one to take care of them. Turret out early this time. Surely that means the go button has to be hit, and now by Militarum.
Absolutely, but this Bastion, luckily it's not the best, but this window from PSEV should just be so punishing. Bastion on top is potentially going to force out both hit stands that are looking to turn the angle. Whisper gets to 1 HP, but they find a creep off the map. Wide Earth gets your important pick on to the Reinhardt, and Crabball potentially gave a little bit too much space to go for that clever Bastion ultimate play.
And the Bastion ultimate, honestly, pretty good, honestly. I really can't critique it. The ultimate itself is weak. But the placement was pretty good, just behind the window. Whispers, there's going to be someone standing there. Is able to survive on a sliver of HP, but that is very close to being a kill. Unfortunately, it's a huge play from Damien Dapp, and Earth Shatter comes through.
Big slam from Cypher. Can the beat come out on top from Militarum? It might just wrap this fight up. They don't even need it. Sunny finds 3 with the pulse bomb, and they all just run into it. There we go. Bomber.
Bomberclad. Huge pulse bomb coming through from Sunny, and because of that, I mean, Crabball are sent back to spawn. Going to be equalized, actually, is Militarum, but I have to say, it doesn't feel like a 50-50 scenario. Crabball still feel firmly in control with an Earth Shatter to boot too. Could still make anything of this next fight.
Yeah. Now the Chicken Bastion form is a little bit early here, so they don't really have it at this point. It feels like this lane is particularly really punishing Cypher, though. Just again takes so much damage. The beat doesn't come down from Damien Dapp, and Magpolar commits theirs to just shore up this fight, and I think that should just be the exit key for the formerly defending team, and they've got to find a way to retake.
And they only use the Shatter the beat too. It means they can save through their window and their Deadeye. So though Crabball lack any ability to take these brawl fights, they have so much poke potential that they can just slow down Militarum for basically as long as they wish, and even find kills at that.
How was Lethal find a pick on Damien Dapp there? Where was that ratio? Absolutely just aura, dare I say it. dare I use the A word in a serious setting. The aura from PSEV to take down the kill.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. That was just huge as well. I mean, now 70% left to go. This is kind of Militarum's last chance to try and unseat Crabball.
Yeah, it could just be the series. Sunny is found to fit onto Magpolo, though Frozen is getting pressured up in the backline. The beat comes down from Damien Dapp, and they've really got to trade with it. Chicken falls to 1 HP, walks off the lamp, and luckily Militarum get in. They cover the sound barrier. Magpolo used theirs in the last fight. They do not have it. But Crabball is still one fight away from wrapping up this series.
Silver lining for Militarum here is that there are essentially no real ultimates on the field. Pulse Bomb versus Artillery Strike. I mean, there is very little to boot here, so just run in, take an aggressive fight with the Pulse. Don't let the Bastion set up like they're doing now. Should be okay.
Yeah, here we go. Sunny's going to be looking for this Pulse Bomb. They find so many this series. That one is a rare miss, a rare whiff. The Magic Otter shield is low. They are building up to that Earth Shatter though. High Noon from Wide Earth. You'd think the swing could just be series going, but Cypher died first. That is the worst bait possible, but it's traded luckily. Sunny's found the Bastion, so that's big. And it was a heart in the throat moment for Militarum, and then I think he breathed a huge sigh of relief because those next two picks are perfect. They traded 1 for 2. Cypher took so much grief this map from the enemy team, but able to trade it out in the end there. Militarum, I think, should be sending us to a map 5.
99.99, Magpolar is going to be taken down. Magic Otter's the next up on the chopping block and quickly chopped down by Whispers on this Baptiste chicken. Just another body onto the pyre, all going to burn down the overtime with Crabball. Can't convert Militarum by the absolute skin of their teeth. Take us to a map 5 here, Jace, but I gotta say, that was as close can be.
Yeah, and we see Sunny on point there hitting the anti-fragile, but this series is anything but that. It is absolutely glass casket from both of these teams. They just feel like they fall over to everything.
How that move happens.
Sick boot from Damien Dabb. Finds 2 there actually, I think, with that right click. Disgusting rotation, and that's the rise and fall of a Lucio player, because I believe they just kind of got shot in the face and died to P7 on Baptiste the fight before, and then just clutches it with a Lucio boop on coast right after. So, you know, you live by your frog, you die by your frog.
It just ends up working out that way sometimes. I mean, yeah, you really can't critique it. Occasionally, that's why you don't route outside. Honestly, if we see no Lucio metas, we just wouldn't. We see so many more people go for cliffside rotations, but because Lucio is always meta, you go cliffside, there's a very real chance that you'll just lose 2 monies instantly like that. So a 4-second cooldown. So really have to carry Lucio on a map type like this, and one of many reasons why Militarum are able to equalize us 2-2 here.
I mean, that point is the Lee J Gon one, right? Like the iconic Lee J Gon.
Ah, yeah, Lee J Gon tower.
What, like 10 boops on that particular point. In general, not even just Lijiang, but Lijiang Night Market is the home of the Reddit Lucio, able to find so many ridiculous angles. Now then, are we throwing it to a break? If we're going
looks like
to
we
a map
can.
5.
I'm feeling like I could use a little bit of water, so I think let's go to a quick break, and when we're back, we would have the thrilling conclusion of our series, Militarum and Crabball. You guys don't want to miss this.
Here we go. Welcome back, everyone, to the BPL Rally Rumble. This is just our first game of the day, but what a banger it's been already. My name is Chase. That is Spectrion. And Militarum Crab Ball 2-2. It's all to play for as we're going to Shambali Monastery for Map 5.
I mean, we've seen the highs and lows of more than a couple compositions in this series, Jace. I mean, the Bastion of Crab Ball feels particularly pertinent to bring up now because a map like Shambali, so linear, could well make a resurgence, and it might be that Militarum, all this effort could be for naught. Have to wait and see if they have any answer to a pick like that when we do actually get into them. Obviously, with these teams that like to play, but it's kind of the home of Ramatra, this map here. Sigma, if you want to get funky, sure. But again, it's super linear. These high grounds aren't the worst to assail at all, but it's just going to be sitting in these kind of longer sight lines, plinking away at each other, and then taking a brawl when you get a little bit bored about that. So not too much room for your DPS to get as involved as maybe they could on some of the other points previously. This map is going to be all about how you play as a team, how you pivot as a unit, and how you guys play as a singular organism. Because if you're split, if you're on your own, you're going to get isolated, you're going to get punished. But if it's 5 players, 5 fingers moving as one fist, there's a lot of punching power in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was talking to Militarum in the break, and they feel like pretty confident still playing into the Bastion without running it themselves. So let's see what they've got cooking. It almost telegraphs that Chicken is going to be on that Bastion themselves going into this comp. But even though this is definitely one of the more linear, like narrower escort maps, it feels like it is just a bunch of tight corridors almost. There's still so much distance and range for something like Sojourn to cook. And as we said at the start, like Sojourn is the be-all or end-all in these games. It feels like it's so revolved around that character and the railgun cooldown that you can really play off and play around it. And I think both DPS, actually all 4 DPS, have had an amazing series for both Crab Ball and Militarum.
Yeah, we've seen no Darth highlights, I'll put it that way. Again, I don't think we'll see as many on Shambali. You just don't have really great off angles that you can flank to easily, so it's a little bit harder for these DPS to find impact. It's going to be more about your ability just to hit crazy shots rather than your ability to set up said shot. So I think this is going to favor more in terms of your individuals, at least, the crazy aimers rather than the crazy brainers. So we see Wide Earth already on that Sojourn. This is a very heavy poke comp from Militarum. If they end up being forced into a brawl, then they are going to get run over quick. But from the flip side of Crab Ball, then actually getting into a brawl style environment, that's going to be rough. So they're going to have to walk up the stairway through this enclosed choke into a lot of crossfire to get there. Yeah. And I question whether any swaps, if they end up staying on this Reinhardt at least, would be pertinent. Maybe a Tracer to punish the backline more. Maybe a Symmetra to allow them to get in closer quicker. I have to wait and see what they end up playing. It looks like they actually want to go with a poke comp as well. Gotta say though, in terms of the picks, Crab Ball will have more shield pressure, and Militarum just going to have more poke.
Yeah, and I think Militarum are definitely expecting a Bastion here. So Crab Ball not going on it and going on Genji instead, maybe a Spanner in the works, but I think it might just be okay. Genji without any sort of nano boost, definitely a lot weaker. One of Frozen's good picks for sure, but definitely Tracer just so much better. Because like at their job, look, suddenly able to get the orb now as well from Damien Dapp as they go in on the angle. But this is so aggressive from Crab Ball actually. Chicken is just walking at them, gets the shield in their face for now, but Militarum have pushed them back. So they've been pushed back off the angle as the cart is going down. Magpolar dying though is potentially a big mistake. The Disruptor Orb doing that tick damage, that burn, that burst damage. Well, not more burst, more burn is what I meant to say, but Crab Ball are in a little bit of a poke phase here now. But after losing Alicia, because they can't really go anywhere.
I mean, Militarum don't have a Lucio as well, so they're kind of stuck in this fight still. Have a little bit more damage, a little bit more sustain, but Magpolo is going to be back relatively quickly. Indeed is. So that advantage has since faded back into the 5 versus 5 here, but with Militarum having very few angles, Crapple, I have to say, the one's looking like they got the lead right now.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Sunny this whole series, though. Great job at stalling the card there. Cypher, this is, I think, an important part for Militarum's defense, just on this lower slope, but Cypher and White Earth just get completely obliterated by the window. 5 trades back onto Magpolar again, but he just has to walk out to his death, and Crabble still got pressure on the cart. He should be able to zip this one around the corner. Do Militarum get the touch?
I don't think they do. Not without a Lucio. With Sunny still in the respawn, it's borderline impossible. I think Militarum aren't really finding the Zenyatta value here. These sightlines they're fighting on are not nearly as long as maybe you'd like for the composition like this. So there is a touch actually from Cypher, but it's 1v5.
Yeah, the lamp comes in, the grass has to come out early as well. And yeah, the Zen pick, definitely expecting something else to go over. They've got the Transcendence, so they're probably going to stick onto it. Crabble, I don't think they're making the most use of the Lucio either, but it just feels like the Zen isn't getting as much value as they should.
I think that now they've given some time to reset and they can take some fights through the second point, we might see more Zenyatta value. It's going to be a little bit harder for Grapple to take these fights as enclosed as they'd want with this Genji Lucio comp. But I think that the momentum's kind of already on the side of Grapple so much so that Militarum might be just damage control more than anything else. They can fight for the corner. They do have some check marks here, Jace, but the B is going to be the real issue for them.
Yeah, the Flux is going to be massive from either Sigma's. Flux Blade or Flux Hanoon could be the angle. Chicken pulls it first. 12 o'clock somewhere and doesn't manage to find anyone for now, though. So they're just going to reset and chill out for a moment. Cypher, though, takes so much pressure. The rail dump comes out onto Magidotta, though, so that keeps them alive. They're going to get healed back up to full HP in their grasp. The Flux goes in. It actually does find Peace Out, but it's round the corner. They can't capitalise. And now, ult advantage coming in for the side of Crabble. Again, it's an aggressive window. And Crabble just walks. Magpolar, well, stakes and kind of dies for it. Cypher comes out with the rock. Militarum, and they managed to punish this. This is a crazy aggressive play from Crabble. And it looks like they're victims in a prison of their own design, but now this is a free Flux for Magidotta. Does it find anything? The blade comes in as well. So have they flipped back? The flip back, and it looks like actually they have. Good patience. Flux Blade come in at the 11th hour to seal it for Crabble in this fight, but almost an egregious mistake.
We see casters out from both sides now. Wide Earth moves over to her, and fair enough to him. Allows you to punish Magpolo's more egregious ints. Frozen as well has to care the nades, and of course it's the same as before. Shorter sightlines, more tank pressure from the cast, and Chicken can poke for some Devi charge, but right now both teams with a reset ult economy. It's Crabble though who have a 4-minute time back to play with it, a pick 2 onto Sunny.
Chicken just puts a bullet straight down to Sunny. Cypher gets caught to their own deflect, and now the Crabble train is rolling 3 minutes 57 on this last point as well. This is going to be a hell of a time bank for Crabble.
That it is. This card just won't be stopped. Militarum. They're putting all this effort, bringing us back into a two map scenario. And what can you really do now but get swept? You need a crazy time saving here. And I just don't see how they find it. Yeah, Crapple are going to back up, wait for a full 5, and give the Titans back over to Militarum. But you don't really have the tools to contest, at least now. This window has to be punished by the Flux, else Militarum still going to be looking down the bank for a 3-minute time bank.
Yeah, and Militarum have got to be quick with their ultimates, and Crabble could just rip 1 or 2 and go from there. And now it's 5v4. Make that a 3v4, and there's only one person on the point to stall. It's just Sunny versus the world. Can they do it again in a 1v4? The High Noon comes down. And what looked like potentially an angle for Militarum to stall out, they've just been rocked apart. They take too much damage, too much poke pressure again, with no Lucio to speed out or retreat. I like the idea of the Zen pick and practicality. I think it really came back to bite them, but Crabble... It's important to mention, by the way, this is our number 3 seed versus our number 14. If anything, Swiss is fake. Crabble looked so transformed from how they were playing in Swiss, by the way. They looked so much more calm, so much more composed, so much more confident. And they played so well today. Swiss is entirely fake, yeah.
All I'm saying is that if I had my way for OWCS qualifiers, it would just be multiple single elimination brackets, and the top of every bracket would be skimmed off. That's enough cooking from me from now. But back to the game. I think you really hit the nail on the head when you mentioned the Zen. Again, it's got good ideas behind it, but the issue with the Zenyatta is that if you don't basically just kill people instantly, if they're not terrified of your orbs of destruction, they're just going to walk at you, and then they're going to kill you, because Zenyatta is about as fragile as a China teapot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Damien Dapp just gets farmed on repeat. Cypher's constantly forced into close range engagements. They want to be keeping these sightlines long, remember? And Crab will just brawl it out. That's going to continue to do that with this Rhine. They've secreted closer and closer to the spawn. Militarum don't read this at all. They are going to lose this first fight out almost perfectly. So, the real question here is for you, Jace. Do they swap to a junk, a fire to crack them out, or do they just keep bashing their heads into the brick wall?
Okay, well, Damien does have a free angle here on the backside on the Zenyatta, so if they just walk forward, they're going to see that Magpolar is on that right side. It's going to be hard to kill Magidotta here with the damage. No, they just go over to the Reinhardt themselves. Wide Earth goes over onto the Sojourn too, and there we go. Magpolar just gets caught without behind their Reinhardt. The angles take coverage, Sunny goes behind, and this is perfect spot for both DPS here, and it is the DPS and Militarum that step up to say enough of this nonsense, and now they're going to start walking the card as well. Frozen is found too with the dash, though. But it's just going to be, dare I say, compensation kills. So Crabble burn 30 seconds or so off the time bank, but they give up an all-important high ground here.
So the good thing about going for that close hold there is that you can normally milk 3 fights out of this first phase of the map rather than the regular 2, because you go so close, but you don't really get much out of that first engagement. So Crabble brought us back into that an even scenario and back over to the Sigma. They want to go over to something more standard. Chicken could get punished.
Oh, they just do. It's the blink miss from out from Sunny. The blink melee just missed. And you think if that would have connected, it would have been absolutely game over. Magpolar is now marking that angle, making sure that Chicken can stay alive and go for those aggressive peaks, as we know they love to do. Cypher on the Sigma looking to battle out as well. Crabble have got a decent spot here, just playing at the top of this slope, and it allows Chicken once again to find an angle. Damien Dapp caught, falling from the sky, and just their piece is kept and made peacefully. You know what? Don't forget about that last line. Don't worry about it. Chicken found 2.
Yep, fair enough. That's the value of the Cassidy, and now half the time bank gone already. Crabble charging into some of their own check marks, and with the Cypher swap back over to the Sigma, Crabble are in a pretty comfortable spot, all things considered. This window is going to come online a couple percentage points before lethals from 5, but they're going to be about mirrored. The real margin here is going to be the beats. Magpolar's a little bit behind.
Ooh, Sunny goes for the stick, doesn't manage to force anything for the lamp. The window swing from 5 could come down there, but no one from Militarum is really there on it. They're taking a different angle. Wide Earth has gone all the way around the back though, so that means Cypher is effectively getting solo windowed, and Crabball just walk. Look how forward they are, basically in front of the payload. Militarum has managed to swarm around them, but can they finally collapse? Because they do have places to go. They can rotate because they've got a Lucio, the sound barrier available for Damien Dapp. Magpolar is just about online. Chicken with the Hylian. Can they walk on the angle? Do they know the Cassidy is here? Looks so in front of the wall. Wide Earth going in with the overclock. They go first. They go with the better ultimate. Beat should come down, and he gets rocked out from Cypher. Huge accretion onto Magidotta. But did he still lose the fight? The blade gets pulled from Frozen. There's no way that Crabball win this fight out. Excellent flank from Militarum to open it up, and with the beat, the flux gets cancelled, and still they've got resources left in the bank, and it's out from Frozen on the Genji. That is what you want from your big fledged DPS player. Huge clutch from the Genji there.
Absolutely nuts from Chicken to not only go for the flanking deadlift, but drop off the high ground and commit to the flank as well. Very few players going to have the kahunas for a play like that. And just committing does Chicken. Militarum can't push in. They're going to have tools here. Probably their strongest fight yet, but 45 seconds, Jay. They need to win this one out, else it might be curtains for Militarum here.
Oh, this is a turbo window angle though. Damien Dapp goes over to the Badika, so it should be good. Cypher is falling low though. You can't leave their tank there, and they do. The lamp doesn't come down, they just don't walk forward. Magpolar dies, Magidotta dies luckily. So it looks like he died, but again the value was able to be given. I actually like the Brig adaptation here from Militarum. It looks like they're just going to be a bit of a brawl on cart, and it's good against the Genji, right?
I don't mind the break at all here. I do think Lucio is better if you can play your brawl cycles effectively, but if you're struggling with that, then Brig's a pretty good band-aid to the problem. Touch is a possibility, and with Militarum still regrouping, they're just going to have to back up and wait for their Sigma.
I've got to remember 2 seconds ago, someone has to touch the cart, and it's not Cypher. The rock goes in, it's just straight round the face. They stare it down, great accretion from Magidotta. Damien Dapp puts down Frozen on the background though. They've got a touch point, and it has to be Cypher to anchor on the card, but luckily Magidotta's ultimate is available, so is the rally. It's bashed out of by Damien Dapp using that cooldown to escape the flux. rather than cancel it. 5 dies though, so it's only Damien Dab with the rally and 50 HP. They drop the shield and they get shot in the face. Could this be the series for Crabble right here, right now? But it's Cypher and Sunny 2v3 versus the world. The Tracer, can they do it? Cypher gets another pick as well. It's not really a pick at this point, it's just a team fight win. Frozen going to stall this card, but shouldn't be able to stall it out for long. And at the 11th hour, Militarum are going to be breathing a huge sigh of relief. How did they get away with that one?
Sunny and Cypher complete the clutch of their lifetimes to allow Militarum a stay of execution, but Death Knell could still yet toll. Crabbell have plenty of time to burn down Militarums. And remember, there's a crazy time bank of Crabble waiting in the wings should we go to extra innings here. So Militarum out of the frying pan, yeah, now into the fire.
Absolutely. And the time bank really is not on their side. It almost feels like their name is, you know, the first name is in the notebook. And Light is over there doodling for the last one. The stick from Sunny, though, could be big. The pulse bomb doesn't find an attach, but it still finds a kill onto Mad Polar. And Militarum have got to win quick. They've got to be brutal. They've got to be efficient. And this looks like is a good fight. Could potentially wrap them up second if they play it well. And that's big, because again, they have to race to the end of this map.
Yeah, now they're in a scenario where they can just kind of hold the spawn doors. It would be lovely to get a stagger kill into lethal, but Sunny can't really chase. So if you're Militarum now, you have pretty much all the space that you'd actually want as an attacking team. Crabble going to have to push into you, but with the Blade, the Beat, the Deadeye, they've got a lot of tools to do so.
1 minute 15 and Cypher just dies before the lamp even comes out. 5 gets the trade though. So it's 1 for 1, but again losing your Sigma just feels like such a rough pick. And now with a minute left, you know that Crabble have ultimates. And they might just be using all 5 in the last fight. I'm going to try and curse it Spectron because I kind of want this one to carry on going. This could be a tragedy if Crabble were to lose this fight. There's no way they lose with 5 ultimates,
okay,
right?
But this is actually unlosable for them. Like, I don't believe in curses. I'm saying it now. Crabble would need to actually have like a power cut in all of their houses to lose.
I think so. They're going early here. Looks like they used 2 ultimates and everyone lives for Militarum, so it's a perfect start. Actually, no, it's just a window, my bad. I thought there was another one committed there. So that's window gone. Now Militarum, a 4v4. It looks like Militarum might be able to build up their own window themselves. I like the aggression from P-Sub though, but it's 20 seconds left. The rally comes in, the flux also. The high noon comes out from Widef though to try and punish. Let's see. The lamp goes down from lethal. Crabble down resources in this fight. This flux comes up. Can they kill Magikosa through the window? The blade comes out from Frozen. It touched down 1, it touched down the lamp. It touched down 2. Chicken finds the nade as well, and it looks like your prediction might be coming true. Chicken and Frozen go crazy in the last fight without their ultimates. With them, whatever you want. They get the hold, and Crabble completely upset, transformed in the Swiss bracket. They were just sandbagging guys, Caparos and Crabble take a very close 3-2 series and move on. This team looked done and dead yesterday. Their player captain quit, but the rest of them stuck it behind, stuck up, tied up their laces, and went to work. And you can never count out a team with Frozen and Chicken on it.
And for the number 3 seed, you've got to be feeling a little bit disappointed, right? I mean, you've been up at the very highest of the Swiss standings and now just been kicked to the curb just a little bit. I mean, I got to say, in that final fight, one thing to note is that not only was it the fact that Crabble had 5 ults versus their opponent's 3 at one point, is the fact that they had a superior value of ults. I think Beat, just a better ultimate than Rally. Blade as well, just a stronger tool than the Pulse Bomb. And, you know, when they actually just all came out in that final kerfuffle, the value of the ultimates were what gave them the edge. So Crabble was just able to sneak by on composition, as I feel like they did in a lot of the series, actually. Flexibility, one of the big things, getting them a leg up on their opponents. But Jace, this was a fantastic series, came so damn close multiple times, but eventually we have to decide a winner.
Absolutely, and it really did come down, and shout out to Militarum, even for going down in this spot, because they did so well in Swiss. They should be still very, very proud of themselves. And as well, they had 2 tanks going in, one of them wasn't available today, and Cypher had to step up, and I think they still had an amazing series on that tank. They were getting so burnt by Crabball, every resource thrown into the Sigma, and still able to get value before they eventually died. It's a really rough situation for tanks right now, and you definitely have to feel, because I think it's so easy if you're inside the mind of Cypher to look at that game and just be like, fuck, I played like shit, my bad, guys. But definitely not at all. So send your words of encouragement to to the Militarum players. But for Crab Ball, hey, you know, your team looked Jova yesterday. The depression was definitely there, but you're in. You're playing blue-footed boobies, who you did lose to in Swiss, but they're so beatable. Again, as I said, never count out a team with Frozen and Chicken. Peace Evers coming as a replacement for their player captain and looked so good as well. Great performance from him on the Baptiste, and Magikota had a solid game today on Tank 2. Again, a couple of fights where potentially their Lucio and Cass don't just like run into the enemy team and die 1v5. And apart from that, Crab Ball looked so much more composed. They were playing Overwatch today.
Most definitely. You know, take a look at the rest of our bracket updates. Bakineers going to be taking on Scotland on the A stream. Make sure you tune in for that. Ferrymen are going to be taking on as of yet undecided match between Low Palamari and what is Inspire. Of course, we've just seen Crab Ball take a win over Militarum, but Blue-Footed Booby is going to be their next opponent. And down at the bottom of the bracket, Charisma Check are going to be taking on Blossom. That's not going to be on any stream, but I've got to say, Jace, and it's almost a matchup that interests me most.
Yeah, I think so. Charisma Check versus Blossom is going to be a banger, but so is honestly Bakineers Scotland. I think that one, you're going to be supporting the home stream, I'm sure. So, honestly, we're probably a little bit behind of schedule, but let's get all the way to it. We're going to throw to break now. I don't believe we have any interviews or anything. So, Spectron, banger, absolute banger first game, and we've got some even better games coming up on the A stream. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Any final words before we close out?
Nah, nothing comes to mind. Oh yeah, nerf Sojourn Kiri. Do it, you'll fix the game. And with that, folks, we're going to bid you adieu. Thanks to everybody who's been behind the camera as well. Of course, plenty of observers and producers have to come over to make this game work, as well as tournament admins. Again, it always takes a village. Again, thanks to Jace. Been an absolutely fantastic play-by-play while I sit back and laze in my colour deck chair. And I think that's everything. We'll say adieu.
That's so good. See you later, guys.
and give it to me. This is where the line draws. Love becomes the enemy. Cause it's to explain it. Never gonna get so bad now. Where does I say goodbye? Tell me, was it worth the lie? Was it worth the lie?
All right, welcome back everyone to BPL for the Rally Rumble, and we have a second round game here against two of the better teams. It is Bakineers going up against Scotland. Not gonna be able to do it as good as Geo did last night, but hey, we have a great one on our hands here tonight. I am Dextron, that is Biscuit. Biscuit, how are you doing here?
I'm doing very good today, Dexatron. And you know why? Because Rally Rumble is well underway, and you know what that means, right? It's going to be a weekend tournament, and we're halfway through the weekend, halfway through the stages of the tournament. The Swiss bracket, the Swiss stage of the tournament is about to end. So, you know, games have been as close as ever, and they're as important as ever. So, Dexatron, I think we're going to see our brackets in the screen in just a couple of seconds, but we have a very interesting lineup today, and I'm very excited to call it out. Look at this. This is the bracket. Bakineers versus Scotland. You have Freeman versus What is Aspire, who we did have on stream, coming on a very good comeback against Low Polamari. If you watched yesterday's stream, that is. Blue-footed Bobbies versus Boobies, sorry. And Charisma Check versus Blossom are happening. The base stream, of course, we have another game right there, but tonight we're focusing in on this one, Dexatron.
Yeah, you see Bakineers actually had a little bit of a trouble against Double Bread in the first round here of the playoffs. We're able to move on. Bakineers #1 overall seed. Scotland and Spinner Wheels, though. That was a series I actually casted yesterday, and the Spinner Wheels actually came on top of that one in the Swiss stage. Scotland, though, got their revenge here in the playoffs, and I mean, I'm not surprised. They came into this one looking to win the entire tournament, struggled a little bit out the gate, but looking at their map differential, it seemed like after that first series yesterday, they did not lose another map and have yet to lose another map since. So both these teams coming in on a little bit of a hot streak here, but the Bakineers are going to be one that you kind of have to watch out for considering how good they have been. And like you said, they have a stacked lineup so far. But
yeah,
here,
just look at that match history too, man. Like 2-0, 2-1, 2-0, 3-1. This is like a dominant team. But Scotland, you know, one loss, but slowly getting up to that speed that they want, right? I think we're going to see the lineup real quick. But Dexatron, you said it perfectly. I said it as well. These are some stacked teams. Let me talk about Bakineers because I played with Cynex before. Granted, it was not for a Overwatch tournament. It was for a CS2 tournament. It was very fun. Really good player. You have to remember they are a player for Team Ireland or where. Not quite sure. Not quite sure right there. But Craig, another really good tank player. If you see Craig, I'm assuming that we're going to see some monkey compositions, which, you know, very good player. But what do you have to say about Scotland right here, Texatron?
well, like I said, casted them yesterday. Nevix kind of got flamed in the pregame show about being a Rhine one trick, but they were very flexible on that tank line yesterday. Shoreline, Pine, or Siren will probably be the ones we see the most at that DPS line. Paul and Manny will come in from time to time, but everyone on that DPS line has that opportunity to pop off. But the support line here for Scotland is the one I really want to focus on. Painless and Dab Master, two great supports in their own right. If they're able to keep themselves alive, they give Scotland the best opportunity to win every fight. They are just that good.
Right, and I do want to say I've run against Shoreline Pie a lot in my ranked games during this season and last season, and Shoreline Pie is an absolute demon. So, you know, I'm very excited to see what Scotland can do. Of course, both teams recently coming up on a really big winning streak. Of course, Scotland losing the first one, but that doesn't matter quite as much, right? When you have a Siren, Mani, Painless, Daft Master, these are names that you know throughout the BPL scene. But let's not talk about the rosters anymore. Let's talk about the maps. We will have a hybrid first with Hollywood, very heavy dive map with push, flashpoint, and control being basically guaranteed, with Escort being our tiebreaker in case that the teams do make it to that part of the map. Hollywood, I'm expecting to see Craig in for a little bit of monkey play. You know, there's a lot of high ground on that second point, and that first one, you really need to get control of that initial high ground, because if not, a lot of flow compositions are not going to even let you in through the arcs of the map. This is going to be the Bakineers pick, I'm assuming maybe because they're on a higher seed, but Rally Rumble well underway, 40 seconds, and it seems like Scotland is logging in a Junker Queen composition. Of course, don't expect anything when they're on defense. They could set at any point, but they seem to be walking out on that one. Mommy Same Boy is not in the lobby anymore, and 30 seconds until the game starts.
Unfortunate that we lost Poofa here early, but I mean, this is something I saw from Scotland a little bit yesterday. They were running the Junker Queen, finding a little bit of mixed success with it, but it was just they were going up against Spinner Wheels, and it just seems Spinner Wheels knew how to really break them down a lot here. Bakineers, they really feel like, and like you talked about, this map really known for the dive on its first 2 points, just controlling that high ground is what you want to do, but they want to play fast here as well. Buckethead, though, on the Widow, very, very interesting. For the only reason is, if they can find a pick, it opens up a lot.
Right, and especially in attack, you're not really able to counter dive, and with this composition, you're not diving the Widow. The second that she locks in on a high ground, she is going to be there for a long time, and a pick could change the course of the game, just as you were saying, right? We see a little bit of slow gameplay, Master getting that high ground there on Genji, so they will be able to kill the Widow, but that Monkey might be a little bit too in for comfort.
And the Suzu getting invested here a little bit early from Nock. Buckethead, though, will find the opening pick here on the Paul. You will see that if eventually be traded out onto the Bakery. However, Bakineers still being able to keep control of the numbers advantage here. Nevix in a very sticky situation. Flair has to use that recall to keep themselves alive here. Scotland just trying to buy some time here, waiting for their teammates to come back. But Creek not going to allow that to happen. They're going to be able to find Shoreline Pie there, focusing now on to Nevix. But Bakineers looking like they're going to be able to get one tick here before Scotland finally gets some of their team to come back. Painless, though, charging in just to stall out, will fall, and now Nevix not looking good either.
Yeah, this is not looking good at all for the side of Scotland, with just having absolutely cleared by Bakineers on that Monkey composition. There's so much poke, and Flair manages to get a pick out to that Master. That is going to be the first point gone by in a flash. Dexatron, this is like some offense on top of offense. 5 minutes, and it seems like Shoreline Pie wants to take this high ground, but the team on the side of Bakineers seems to not want to let go of it whatsoever. This is what I meant, right, by that composition. Of course, you could run a Joker King, you could run a Reinhardt, but that is not going to give you the mobility and flexibility that a dive comp is going to give you, especially in a map as big and as vertical as this one.
And Dabmaster making the swap over here to the Widow themselves. Nevix gonna get rid of Buckethead. And I would not be surprised if Buckethead makes a swap here, maybe to something a little bit more mobile, something like a Soldier, and maybe even a Cass as well. But everything kind of working out for the Baconeers here. But you'd see them without Buckethead. They're kind of playing from the defensive side of the map here.
Yeah, seems to be a little tricky, right? Baconeers definitely switching the positions, but they have a lot of sustain with the Kiriko right there, and the Kitsune is invested. This is an all-out fight from Baconeers.
And you already see Flair taking care of one. Buckethead gonna be able to take care of Nevix, and now everything gonna start to go downhill here for Scotland. You lose your tank most times, you end up losing the fight. It's not gonna be a team kill as Painless able to escape, but 4 minutes on the clock, and Baconeers finally able to start getting that cart rolling.
Right, that seems to be a time advantage that you're not going to be able to look away from. That Master switches over to the Torbjorn. I understand what they are trying. I saw this yesterday on that cast. That infra side is going to be really annoying to deal with. It will be gone by the time the 3 minutes and 40 seconds mark hits. But that turret is going to give them so much protection against Flair, who's been really annoying on that backline. Buckethead seems to have found their position, and the fight is going on.
Yeah, the turret's already gone. It's Buckethead finding the opening pick onto Shoreline Pie. Shoreline Pie really has just not been allowed to play so far, holding on to that Dead-Eye Dab match. They're going to be able to find Noctera right there, maybe giving Scotland a little bit of a hope and a prayer in this fight. They're going to be able to find Creek as well, but you lose your other DPS and Dab match. The beat coming out here from the Bakery as they want to play aggressive. They will find one, but that might be all. They get the nice knife there coming out from Nevix. Just stop Buckethead for a moment, but it looks like Scotland finally going to be able to win a team fight here.
Finally going to win that team fight, and finally is going to get a little bit of pacing onto their side. Dexatron, I'm a little confused on whether they're still committing onto the Junker composition. Of course, I understand it gives them like good guarantees, like, hey, we can kill the monkey, and it seems like Craig wants to play the mirror. They are taking this high ground and walking on over to the supports, but the Junker is dropping really low, and their Kiriko's not there to give them the support that they want. Shoreline Point has to invest like a high noon, but it stops them completely in their tracks.
Paul will be able to find Bakery here early now. The Rampage going to come out, hit to Craig, will fall right there. The knife going to be able to find Noctera as well. Shoreline taking the kill, and Scotland, they just needed one team fight in their back pocket, and they've woken up.
They finally managed to get a foot on the door, and now that they are on the Junker position, it's going to be all about the different in the DPS backline, right? Scotland definitely has a lot of spam damage and a lot of burst damage with Shoreline Pine on that tree, but Baconeers should have a lot more range and a lot of harassment that could happen against Paula, against Noctara, right, with the Tracer, but it seems like it's not mattering. Baconeers a little bit stopped on their tracks right here. Buckethead getting a couple shots in, but finally they're committing onto a fight.
And they're going to be able to find Painless out early. Now no speed to get Scotland in and out of this fight. Baconeers have their greatest opportunity right now. They also get rid of the turret right there, but Buckethead on this high ground is a very, very scary position. The Pulse Bomb going to come out for this Fusion from Paul to keep everyone alive. However, you lose Shoreline, Nevix all out. Everyone for Scotland falling like dominoes. There's the final one, and Baconeers going to be able to get point B.
Right, 3 minutes extra. Of course, it's not going to be the mountain that they have to climb on the side of Scotland, who are going to be switching to Ramatra. This gives them longer fights, but will it matter when Craig is running at you and just knifing your entire team? I don't know quite yet, but I hope that we can find out. Shoreline Pie staying on the crease is going to be really strong. You know, denying a lot of that recall, a lot of slides. But it seems like Bucket is getting a beautiful off angle here, and Scotland slowly creeping up on them.
And Painless first one to fall in the fight. Paul uses the Casino Rush here, just try to give their team some sort of advantage now. A huge a huge rampage coming out there from Craig, gonna be able to find 3 kills. Now Nevix just trying to do whatever they can, but once that Nemesis form goes away, they just start getting bullied by everyone on the side of the Bakineers.
And I love what they were able to do right there. Buckethead takes a massive off angle, and then as soon as Scotland loses one, they try to go fast because they can get maybe a pick before Buckethead can be hacked or get in there, but it's not going to matter. We're approaching the last part of this map. There's going to be another clock for the Bakineers, and this is the last fight.
Pulse Bomb came out there from Flare, not going to be able to find anything. Buckethead just looking for something with their overclock, buying some space right now, almost getting rid of Painless. Someone from Scotland going to have the touch with the Deadeye coming out from Shoreline. Pie not going to be able to get any shots off to do any damage before the Bakery finds them. They're beat now from Painless just to try to get some sort of footing in this fight for Scotland. They will trade out a kill right there on the Noctera, but now they finally do have something. Pulse getting very low. You will lose them there. They're now playing down 1 support, but you're going to see the Flare fall. Buckethead gonna be able to find Dab. Master Nevix just trying to do whatever they can to keep this cart stalled here at the final point.
And it seems like a Bakery trying to get a couple of shots in, not really finding anything, but now they don't have any ultimates on the side of Bakineers. Of course, you're going to be running in against that Annihilation, and Dexatron, they don't have a beat, they don't have anything to really sustain through it, dropping so low, and it seems like Crick is going down. This fight might be over before it even really started.
And it really is, and the worst part about that for the Bakineers is the fact they invested the Kitsune Rush just hoping to find anything. You lose to almost immediately, that's one big ultimate gone, and Scotland not using any of their ultimates is such a big thing as we go under a minute.
I know, and when it's just 1 minute, you can only guarantee 2 fights, and if they play it slowly enough, they will guarantee that Bakineers has to win 1 fight, and they only have a chance at 1 in the first place. Craig getting real close to that Annihilation. Paul needs to hold on to that Suzu, or they will be absolutely annihilated, but Nevix just might do that to them with their ultimate and showing them some good suffering. 30 seconds, Dexatron, these teams are slowly creeping up, and it seems like Bakineers is more than ready to brawl it out on point.
Yeah, one thing I'm actually watching this fight is the Lucios. They're both around the same percentage. Pulse Bomb going to come out, going to be able to find one. The Rampage from Craig going to be able to get one out themselves. But now the Annihilation from Nevix has to be the hope and the prayer, but they're just getting chunked down. Flair going to be able to take care of them there. Painless so close, yet so far away from the beat. Paul just trying to keep themselves alive, but they got booped to the ceiling right there. Bakineers looking like they're just going to try to be able to cap the point here. Shoreline Pie going to get a touch. They have to recall, keep themselves alive. Painless right there, almost to that beat. Going to have to use it to keep themselves alive. The Doom coming back out. The beat in time. Overtime has commenced here right now. Scotland, now you have Dab to come out. They get denied by Buckethead with their own overclock right there. Flair can take care of Nevix, and now they're just trying to clean up the rest. 3-4 kills going the way of the Bakineers, making a team kill and a map completion.
3-0 right now, and it seems like that time clock is not quite as big as we expected at Dexatron. I know that this seems bad. It's going to be a 3-0. Definitely not putting up the resistance that you want to see. Maybe an 0-2, which is what you'd have wanted. 0-1, 0-0. But at the end of the day, they kept so fast on that first point that this is a good breath of relief. Scotland is going to be able to tie it up and make it 1 minute if they go into that overtime section of the map. Dexatron, that was beautiful from setup Bakineers, right? Extremely well orchestrated initial attack, good defense from Scotland, but at the end of the day, they will end up breaking through, matching that Jungle Queen composition, and I wonder what they are going to be walking out on. Of course, the dive is very strong, and it seems like Bakineers is banking on it. We're back to the initial compositions, I think, except for Shoreline Pine, who will now be on Sojourn, giving them a little bit of extra range, giving them someone to match Buckethead, and I guess just some of that good old random picks onto Bakery or Noctara, who might be caught a little bit by surprise. 20 seconds, they could switch the comps, but I'm expecting Scotland to just absolutely run it in and find one knife that will give them the victory.
And here's the thing. I mean, you would normally expect to see Dive on the attack side, at least on these first 2 points. But from the series I casted yesterday with Nevix being the tank, they don't necessarily like to play Dive. They can play it if it's necessary, but they're more comfortable playing something a little bit more brawly and rushing. That's what this Queen really does here. And like you said, one knife is all they need to open up the door here.
Yeah, and honestly, it could be on anyone, right? You could hold Crake and not allow them to jump out. Sorry, English is kind of hard today. Or you could get Buckethead as soon as they use one of their sides, right? Walking into that point, Fake Nevix looks like they know what they are doing. Use Shout and nothing quite yet, but Flare doesn't have recall. This could be huge.
And Paul getting very low right there. The Suzu already coming out. Dadmaster just trying to distract them so that Paul can get healed back up. Paul still slowly now getting some health back. Scotland playing this one safe, not wanting to make the first mistake here. The knife there on to Craig, not going to be able to find anyone with it as they were falling back down to the ground. Buckethead very low, but they're focusing on the Winston instead there. Each team still just looking for that opening pick. Nice knife.
They managed to find the Kiriko, but it's going to be a fake, a wasted Susu that will not get anything. Master gets a massive pick on Flare. No more Tracer, no more annoying pesky little bug on that backline, and it seems like the finals cool down, actually.
Yeah, the fact that Scotland's not jumping onto the Bakineers right here really tells you that they're kind of worried about how necessarily they would get into that backline, especially with Craig playing so close to their supports as Bucket as well. Just kind of hanging around them. But Creek right there looking like they're going to be able to dive on the Kitsune Rush coming out as well. Shoreline Pine, though, going to shut down Buckethead. Flare just looking to come back into the fight, find anyone they can. Eyes focused here on Shoreline Pie, who is just oblivious to them in that backline. But the beat from Painless and now the Kitsune Rush from Paul. Paul's going to come out, be able to find the stick, be able to take care of Dabmaster. Nevix falls, Shoreline falls, and now Scotland looking so good. The Bakineers, though, able to come back in and win this fight.
Yeah, beautiful defense from Scotland, playing a traditionally very offensive composition, right, Dexatron? You're supposed to play this one on the attack, dive on support that is maybe not sleeping a little bit, but it's not going to happen. I'm just saying, Bakineers is doing something perfect and abusing a weakness of Scotland, which is their rotates have been particularly slow. They have not been able to really move in as the death ball that they are supposed to be, but the Winston jumps on one of them and abuses so much out of it. So Scotland, if they can play together, they could take this point, but 2 minutes were barely getting started, and Charlotte Pine is dead already.
And that's a lot of your damage out already, since the Genji, yeah, can do a decent amount, but the more constant damage would be that Sojourner, especially with the overclock ready to go now. Nevix just trying to escape with their own life here. They're not going to be able to. The beat being invested here by the Bakery, and that just means that the Bakineers are just going to fully commit into trying to find every kill possible, and they're going to be able to.
And they actually do, just as you were saying. Painless were going down at the end. Master not really able to do anything on that Genji, but they do have 3 ultimates. They invested, they beat some, expecting this play to be absolutely massive. Honestly, if they use everything and just capture this point, it could be worth it, but the time bank keeps going down. It seems like it's going to force out a DP from the side of Noctara, and this is when you have to go. Abuse those cooldowns that they just used.
And you just saw Noctera use that Swift Step to keep themselves alive. The Suzu coming out as well as the Blade. Now Navik's going to be able to find Buckhead. The Blade from Dadmaster finds 1. Kills, though, being traded back out of your Flare. Do whatever they can. The Pulse Bomb stick on the Dadmaster right there. Now still 2 members left against the 1 Tracer. Nevix holding on to this, holding on to nothing there, but not going to be able to do anything. It's Flare. It was a good effort, but it will be in vain.
Good effort, and it would be so close if they had managed to land those hits, but it's tough, Dexatron. If it's tough just watching it, imagine playing it with the nerves at an all-time high. But it seems like Bakineers finally have been pushed out of that first point. They don't have the time bank that that Bakineers had at the beginning of the game, but it's more than enough to do what they wanted to do. That Master is back on that Torbjorn, recognizing, hey, Flare has been doing an absolute perfect job on the DPS, so I need to do something to force them out. The Rampage is going to be the only ultimate to their name, going against the Kitsune and the Primal from Craig.
And right now, especially with Flare firing Shoreline Pie there, Scotland has to back up. And without having a dive tank get on that high ground, the Bakineers could just do this entire thing over and over and over again. Nevix barely keeping themselves alive right here. It seemed like the Bakineers decided to back up for a moment.
I like what they were able to do right there. Craig would definitely be forced out on that Primal, but hey, Noctara, you have to use Kitsune first. Pocket me the whole time, and I'm not forced to use what I have to use. Painless has a beat, probably going to be used against a Primal that will kill one of the supports or anything from the side of Buckethead and Flare, right? And a Kitsune, Scotland definitely has the advantage here.
Yeah, Kitsune coming out here now from Paul. Beat can be used as well. Creek, though, using that Primal Rage, but they're just getting chunked down right now. Shoreline Pie going to be able to find them, and now Scotland looking like they want to try to bring this fight to the high ground, while the Bakineers looking like they just want to try to run away and just stay alive while they wait for that Winston to come back. Flare doing their best here just to distract. Oh, they get a triple with the Pulse Bomb. Looking for more. Bakery will take that one away right there, but an insane play coming out from the Tracer.
player is doing God's work on the Tracer, and you definitely gotta feel good about that one, because your team was entirely losing, right? Craig went down very early, even with the Primal. Imagine how much damage that must have been, right? And against the Kitsune, you have nothing if you're on Team Scotland, right? But now you're playing against Craig on Ramacha. That means that you're going to play the Maga to force out a lot of damage and make it really hard to even play in the same universe as Nevix right now. Gonna go take high ground. Smart play right there. Buckethead is guarding it and calling it out to the team. They have to play defensive right now before they take too much space.
And Nevix here just, get a bait out that charge in, but Flair already finding Dab Master. That's not what you want to see now. They're all focusing in on Nevix, who's using that cardiac overdrive just to keep themselves alive here. Shot coming out there for Buckethead, not going to be able to land on the shoreline. Pi, who's now getting healed back up. However, Painless will be able to get rid of Flair, who has just been a menace to the Scotland team. But, I mean, at the moment, 40 seconds on the clock. Bakineers look like they're in control, comboing those support ultimates that we see comboed so very often. Shoreline Pi investing the overclock here. Paul, Shoreline Pi, not going to be able to find anything, as Creek going to be able to throw those left and right hooks to send them back to the spawn. In 20 seconds here, Biscuit, what does Scotland have to do?
I think Scotland just has to go fast. As soon as they get Paul, you need to get that Kitsune to give Maga the infinite damage, but it doesn't matter. Nivix is there, and they will not be there in time for the touches. Now, if you're back in here, you just have to kill the one touching, and that might just be the key to giving you that fight. Nivix is back on the board for 4 seconds. Painless goes down. Will there even be a touch?
There's not going to be a touch. Shoreline Pi so close, yet so far away as their lifeless body falls down to the point, but it'll be the Bakineers taking the first map of the night.
Beautiful play right there from Bakineers. That fight on that rooftop would have been so good had Scotland won it, because they would have gotten 4 of their ultimates and absolutely guaranteed that second point. But we should not talk about what could have happened. We should talk about the present, and the present is Bakineers is cooking right now. They're baking. I might as well just say that. Nevix goes down. Buckethead finds a couple of beautiful shots right there on the Tracer, on the Lucio, and it seems like that first map is going to go down into Bakineers' name. What can I say, that Citron? There's a reason they are the first seed right now, because I just saw something beautiful right there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly what you said. There's a reason they're the first seed, and they looked the part right there. But the biggest thing that I kind of talked about was the fact that Nevix for Scotland kind of struggles with playing the dive tanks. I did say if they're forced to, they can, but they rather play something more brawly, more rushing. That was the biggest thing right there. That high ground pressure that the Bakineers were able to keep. That entire second point hold was just too strong for Scotland to really push through. And the one chance they did, they maybe were a little bit too slow on pushing the car and trying to get to the high ground themselves.
Right, I understand. And the thing, right, with not being able to play the dive, and not necessarily not being able, but just definitely not having the proficiency of some of these other teams, it's just that some maps you cannot play. Like, Hollywood is definitely a dive-oriented map, and if you cannot play like that fast, hey, I'm going here, I'm jumping from place to place, you're going to struggle. But now that we're moving on to push Dextron, we're going to be seeing maps in which Brawl is absolutely what you have to play, right? You're going to need to be fighting on that point, make the fights as long as possible to get your ultimates, to get it sustained damage on the tank, and then wipe them out so that you can keep pushing meters on top of meters on top of meters. However, that is not to say that you cannot play dive here, right? You could play it on Esperanza, which is a map that has, for example, the bridge section, some high grounds on the ladder sections of the map, but we're not sure just yet what they're going to play. It will be Scotland's pick, and we will just have to wait on that before we find out if they will be able to put out some numbers on the board, or if Bakineers will be able to lock it in and just be one map away from securing their spot into the semifinals.
Well, I feel like if you're Scotland right now and you want to try to run Brawl, I feel like Colosseo or New Queen Street would probably have to be your options. Colosseo, though, they still have that one good, kind of stall point with bridges. New Queen Street, there's no necessarily stall point with bridges, but there is one point where high grounds do become a very important thing. However, I feel like you can kind of just surpass that and really ignore it, unlike you can on Colosseo, where it is something you have to deal with. So if it was up to me, I would probably be picking New Queen Street, but as we can see below us, I'm dead wrong. So we're heading to Colosseo.
Hey, it's a Brawl team, Dexatron. What are you expecting? If they want to play Jungle Queen, you have to go onto that really long middle road. We've seen plays and bots of like teams just staying there forever. But if you play the Brawl, you could make it fast. And it seems like the Jungle Queen composition might be able to do just that. We have to remember, after this, we'll be playing Flashpoint. It could be our last map, but I'm expecting I'm expecting Team Scotland to really be able to show us what is what, and taking us into a third map and a fourth map, possibly. I think that would be very exciting, because this team has a lot of promise.
Yeah, but one interesting thing with Bakineers, and we did kind of highlight it when we were talking about their rosters, the fact that they have 3 different tanks. So you could have one tank be really good at dive, one tank be really good at brawl, one tank be really good at rush. And we could see them rotate in and out here. Do you think Creek stays in for this map, or do you see someone like Cyanex or Fierce come in?
Look, as I said, I'm a really big Quake fan. You know, I've seen some monkey plays from them that are like unreal, right? For them, it's not a primal rage, it's a primal blade. But when you have people like Cynex, when you have people like Gasic, who can definitely play those brawl tanks, who can definitely have like a little bit, you know, if Quake is your expert monkey, you're of course gonna pick up someone else that can really play. There are much of the Junker Queen, all of those tanks that definitely don't have to be jumping all around the map. So I'm expecting a little bit of a switch, Dexatron. We have to remember, I think here in Rally Rumble, you have to play all of your teammates at least once in one of the maps. So this is the perfect time to put a tank that might be more proficient in playing the up and close instead of just the up in your face and going fast. Scotland, I hope they're able to bring us a good show. And you know, another thing before I forget, if you have Buckethead and Flare who play Sojourn and Tracer Dexatron, you don't need the flexibility on your DPS line, right? You need your tanks to be flexible, but if you're playing permanently meta Sojourn and Tracer, who's never really been bad except for maybe a meta in which Storm is good, then, you know, it's a perfect team composition. And it seems like I was right. Gasic is going to be in for Craig, while Scotland still has Fake Nevix as their tank.
Well, that's the only tank on Scotland's lineup here. They will have to make some swaps at the DPS line if that is the case that everyone does have to play. But, I mean, you see Gasic come in here right now, and it is the Ramatra. We did see, you know, Craig play the Ramatra as well, and it looked decent. But now that Gasic is coming in here, do you think we're going to see anything a little bit different with the Bakineers and how they play?
Right, and I'm expecting to see a lot of really fast gameplay. Look, it looks like the only different in composition is going to be the Sigma, which Sigma is definitely strong here on this first part of the point. You have the very long sideline, and you can definitely get that shield to Shoreline Pie so that the 1v1 against Buckethead is going to be a little bit easier. Flare is in position, already fighting against Dav-Master. The game starts immediately, and we're already onto a good start. Shoreline Pie farming a little bit of railgun, but no picks happen just yet. Painless! Correcting me.
Yeah, and just Painless now being a little bit aggressive on this Lucio Dav-Master right there to follow him up, and that's exactly how you want this to play as the bot opens, getting rid of Flare, who we highlighted them a lot on Hollywood, just being in that back line constantly. And it seems like Scotland, they have completely flipped. They're now the team being hyper aggressive here on Colosseo, and it's working out for them pretty early here.
A beautiful job from them. Scotland definitely has an advantage as a neutral. As I was mentioning, as soon as you're playing Sigma, you're committing onto those long sidelines and playing slow and getting those picks before the battle even starts. But Gasic is going in with the Ramatra. Definitely don't want to play the neutral against a character as good as Sigma. And they get off of their Nemesis form, and we're still going to be playing in this middle ground.
And I like what Scotland did there. Once that Nemesis form came out, they just kind of backed up, waited for it to go away. They're perfectly fine with giving up a little bit of space here. Losing Dav-Master, though, that's that backline pressure. Same thing with Bakineers. When they lost Flare, they completely backed up as well. Scotland now has to back up further and start allowing the Bakineers here to get a push. And you see them here. They're trying just to push them back even further. Fluxo ready for Nevix here. That could counter out something like the Kitsune Rush if Noctera wants to use it.
Right, but it seems like they're giving a lot of space. Even when they have a Flux, which is definitely going to force out something out from Bakineers. So it's going to be the window. Gets a massive pick on Shoreline Pine, but Gasic is in to get a pick of their own.
Pulse Bomb gonna be able to find Painless right there. The support line down for Scotland, investing that one ultimate, while Bakineers investing 3 to win the fight and take the lead here.
Oh, beautiful job. Look, I only want to say, they used only one ultimate on Scotland. They could have definitely committed the Flux to stop them on their tracks. I feel like they gave them way too much space, and Dexatron, that is not the name of the game for this composition. You cannot give it at all. You have to control it, especially when you have such long sidelines, right? And you're able to enable Shoreline Pie and Bathmaster to take it from the bot. Flare, where are you going?
Flare? Yeah, I would be saying too. The overclock now coming out here from Buckhead just to try to get this on even grounds. Flux coming out though from Nevix, looking to focus in there. They're gonna be able to find Buckethead, maybe one other person as well with how that ultimate changed here. They're gonna be able to hit that equation on the guy there who's not gonna use the annihilation smartly. Now Bakery just trying to escape with their life. Dav-Master though will fall to Noctera, but Nevix able to trade it out there.
Yeah, and it's a little tragic that Flair is not there to put pressure onto Paul, which is definitely going to be your job and to Painless. But Scotland regains the territory back, and it seems like we're walking up to the 26-meter line again. Flair is back, and hopefully will not be off the map anytime soon. Annihilation is ready for Bakineers, but it will be countered by Painless beat most likely. Turtle Pine also has a beautiful overclock that I'm hoping gets a pick, because you need a miracle to get back into the lead.
And Buckethead gonna be able to find Painless right there. Overclock from Shoreline Pie shuts down Flare, and now they're just looking for anything else but Buckethead. It's the Sojourns popping off right now. Now they're in a battle here of wits, but it'll be Buckethead coming out on top right there again. They're just going in looking for nothing but kills and blood here, and they are continuing to find just that.
Oh, Buckethead definitely claiming, whatever you can do, I can do better, Shoreline Pie. They end up winning the 1v1. That gives them the high ground, that gives them the advantage of numbers, and that will give them even more numbers up on the board. Nevix is now on Maga, which is going to give them a lot of a better brawling capability. Like, hey, you know, with Sigma, the second that they get close to you, you're dead, but that's where Maga wants to be, and that's where Ramacha wants to be, which you have the advantage when you have all that killing and all that damage. The point is being heavily contested, but this could be checkpoint for Bakineers.
And we're getting a pause here right now. That normally means someone disconnected, and we have to wonder who it is here. But I mean, it's been a great start for both these teams. However, Bakineers finally starting to step up a little bit in this map, starting to overtake Scotland a little bit, especially now in that last fight there before we got the pause. They're investing a couple ultimates already, and they're looking like they're going to be able to win it. But Scotland, I mean, if they can find one pick, they might still be in this fight. The Annihilation though coming out here from Gafirish here, but the Consumers and now the Overclock being invested as well. Bakineers investing 4 ultimates in this fight. The only one not to use their ultimate is the Bakery, and somehow, some way, Scotland, that's the first pick that has come from anything. They're now investing that Amp Matrix the beat coming out from the Bakery, and now everything's starting to go the Bakineers' way as they can play a little bit aggressively. Painless, they'll get a fall to Flare. However, it seems like at the end of the fight, it will be the Bakineers getting those forward spawns.
Beautiful right there. Bakineers are just going to end up taking this checkpoint, and it's all slowly crumbling away for Scotland, because now once they get that checkpoint, Exatron, you know, hey, the next time we kill them, we have to deal with a forward spawn. You cannot lose your numbers, because then that next fight is going to be even harder. Push is just a ruthless game mode. The second that you start losing, you lose even more and more and more. But a cage is coming up. That Master could definitely do a miracle, because there's no beat, and the only thing you have to worry about is a Susu maybe on the side of Bakineers, and this is when you have to go, and really fast.
Nevix charging in right there. Dabmaster pulse bomb ready, but Shoreline Pie going to be able to get rid of Gafirish right there. Now they find Noctera as well. Nevix going to be able to shut down Buckethead there, and they finally get to start pushing that bot back towards the initial starting point.
Right, and this is when you need to get your cash. Oh my god, Flare gets a massive pick on that. And this is what I said, Nexatron. Remember, now that they have a forward spawn, you're down in numbers. They are going to go just as fast as you're going, and it's all going to loop back around forever and forever and forever. But 4 minutes, and Matrix is just barely getting their ultimate. Scotland needs to abuse their ult economy to get a leg up on them. But oh my god, Buckethead.
Buckethead has just come alive in this map already too, with the Overclock getting rid of the Immortality Field. They don't care. They're just going in, finding everyone. Flare wants to get their name in the kill feed, but the damage was done there by Buckethead.
Buckethead just kills 2, and it's feeling even more impossible. I'm just saying, Dexatron, on that fight to get the checkpoint, Bakineers invested so many ultimates to the point that was your only chance of winning. You have to abuse that they don't have them in order to win, but Scotland only has a cage right now, and you have to get something with it if you want to win. Cage coming up.
Yep, Cage can come out here. Flare will use that pulse while not going to be able to find anything. Nothing else being invested by Scotland just yet, as both Malgos are just staring at Shoreline Pie. Will be able to find one. Dabmaster, though, going to be able to get 2 with their own pulse bomb there. That will lead to a team fight win, but I don't know if they're going to be able to reset the spawns before everyone on the Bakineers are able to respawn.
Oh, they will absolutely be there in time, and with a forward spawn with some time to spare. Scotland uses 2 ultimates, but it's only a pulse bomb and a cage, which is going to leave them with a window, and an overclock will put a lot of pressure on Bakineers, who only have support ultimates. If you are Scotland here, you have to use them carefully and precisely. You cannot use all of them to the point that you will not have them ready, and a Kitsune is on from the side of Bakineers.
Amp Matrix coming out, and Overclock as well, beat from Scotland. They notice how important this fight is. They need to be able to win it here, as the support ultimates coming out from Bakineers as well. And it looks like the Bakineers just going to get out of this fight here for the moment, realizing that, hey, they forced out those 2 big support ultimates, and Gafir coming up here to that cage fight. There it is. Shoreline Pie immediately knocked out. Nothing is going to be able to keep Nevix alive, and everyone else for Scotland is stuck in the cage.
And I hate to call it before it's done, Dexatron, but Scotland used 3 ultimates to really no avail. The Painless Beat doesn't really cover anything from the side of Bakineers. They didn't ult, they did use a Kitsune, but then you used a window, a beat, and an overclock just to stop that one ultimate, and that master is down. Bakineers seems to know what they are doing right now, and they are doing something beautiful. Back into the Sigma is a really hard matchup for Maga, who is not able to heal at all against the shield, against the eat, against the stun. It's such a good counter matchup, but is it maybe too little too late?
Buckethead, though, popping that overclock. We've seen what they've been able to do in the past. They already find one. Nevik somehow cancels out the beat, but Buckethead finding 2 already with this overclock, looking for more. Shoreline Pie finally going to be able to get their name in that kill feed, killing Buckethead, but they'll immediately get traded out there by Flare, and you just see Gafirish going in there, just finding all that pressure. The E coming out from Nevik just to keep him alive. Pulse Bomb not going to do a lot to that Malga as the continuing rush comes out here from Noctera. Every team just playing around corners, but with Nevik's falling there, it's going to be the Bakineers getting hella aggressive here, finding one. Flare not going to allow Dabmaster to get back into the safety of their spawn. Scotland looking like they want to try to regroup here, but they don't have a lot of time.
There's no time, and I don't think there's any chance for you to touch without exchanging some of your members. Playlist ends up getting Bob booped out. Shoreline Pie has to go back to spawn, but they will not be able to flare. We'll claim them before it happens. Playlist uses beat. This is when you have to get a pick, but it seems like Bakineers is convinced that they want to win. That's a beautiful pick, though.
Paul gonna be able to find one right there. This Ant Matrix ready for Paul. They might have to use it just to buy them that win. They're desperately looking for. The longer they hold on to it, the more they put their team at risk here. Gafir, they're still staying alive. Bakery so close to the beat, not gonna be able to use that. Shoreline Pie able to find them. Bakineers looking like they understand they're gonna lose this fight and are just backing out.
Okay, let me chart out what has to happen for Scotland to maybe have a chance. I think Scotland needs to use that flux immediately. Hopefully killing Buckethead early enough to Noctara to avoid any Kitsunes, any overclocks, but does it really matter? There's a cage happening. There's a beat to keep them safe from the flux. I hate to call it, but I think Bakineers really has this one in the bag. There's a 1v1 happening between Flare and Dabmaster, and this is what you need.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need. Getting rid of that pulse bomb early, and I totally agree with you. That Flux needs to come out early to force that beat from the Bakery out here, just to give Scotland a little bit of advantage. Yeah, they have 4 ultimates, but Bakineers building up to their own, and hell, they're building up to all 5 here. And that might just be the play for them. Just hold on to all their ultimates and then dump them all into one fight.
Yeah, and I think that's the one way that you're going to win. Bakineers is just right here, and that cage is just so brutal. It gets for people.
Oh my goodness!
It's going to find Gasik. Are we witnessing the miracle that Scotland is putting up together? It's going to be a short. It's going to be a window. It's going to be an overclock. That Master finds 2, and this is going to be checkpoint. But you cannot sim victory just yet. Buckethead finds a pick, and Paul will be here so late. You have to go fast here, Bakineers, immediately.
That is not who you want to have die there if you were Scotland. Anyone else on that team, you would have much preferred falling there. Now that Paul's out, Bakineers could play a little bit aggressively here, and you see the swaps coming out for them. The Rhine, the Bastion coming out now. They're just looking to pump in as much damage as they possibly can. Going to be able to stall it here for a moment, but those forward spawns now online here for Scotland. Overtime has commenced. They really can't get off the cart anymore. Shoreline Pie, very low, Painless so close to that beat, but not going to be able to get it. The charge coming in from Gafir is going to be able to find one. Now Buckethead popping off with their overclock, but no one from Scotland is going to be able to get back as the Bakineers able to put themselves on the series point.
It would have been a little bit scary. I think Bakineers should know, hey, we're winning that, but that has to give you a little bit of a heart attack. Losing that fight in such a brutal fashion. Buckethead doing like God's work on Sojourn. That's all I have to say. Painless ends up going down, and it doesn't matter what you try to do when Bakineers is putting you on your series point. Dexatron, this is like a performance and a half. What can I say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're seeing just different people pop off for the Bakineers on every map. First map, it was definitely in the favor of Flare. Then it was Buckethead this map, but still the tank has just been a very, very constant for them, no matter who it really is. Creek on the first one, Gafirish or Furish here on the second one. They looked great throughout the entire map, and still, I mean, we did see a little bit of Scotland waking up there towards the end of it, but it was just a little bit too late for them to really get anything going.
Yeah, and when you put all of your eggs into one basket, like, maybe we could turn around with all of our ultimates. You end up having Paul go down. Paul has to switch into Kiriko. Someone has to go pick them up for the TP, and you're not ready for the fight. You're not ready for what Bakineers is bringing onto the table. And just as I was saying, we could have maybe gone to a map 4, and we can still go to a map 4. But I feel like in this flashpoint, Bakineers is definitely gonna put like a lot of work into it, right? They showed us, hey, I can play the dive and I can play the brawl just as much as you can play it. So it's a little scarier in the title of Team Scotland, but I feel like they were able to show us, hey, at the beginning, they were playing the Sigma really. They were playing like a really good comp, just getting a couple of meters in, but Bakineers just sweeps in and ends up taking it all away from them. It was a great game from both teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, Flashpoint is going to be a very important map, and we do know what map it is, but we're going to throw it to a quick break. Make sure y'all stick around, because after that break, map 3 is going to be here.
Pulling you out now, and you're feeding your own mind as we caught in a landslide of what we had. Everything's the same now. Come on, you can give it to me. This is where the line cross. Love becomes the enemy. Cause it's to explain it. Never gonna get so far. Now as I say goodbye, tell me was it worth the line? Was it worth the line? Was it worth the line? Everything's the same now. Here you can give it to me. This is where the line cross. Love becomes the enemy. Cause it's to explain it. Never gonna get so far. Now as I say goodbye, tell me was it worth the line? Everything's the same now. Come on, you can give it to me. This is where the line cross. Love becomes the enemy. Cause it's to explain it. Never gonna get so far. Now as I say goodbye, tell me was it worth the lie? Was it worth the lie?
All right, welcome back everyone from that break right there. So far it has been all Bakineers here. Scotland though has shown some signs of life, just not been able to get over the hump that is the Bakineers. I mean, Biscuit, it has been back and forth, but this Bakineers team is just impressing us so far.
Yeah, no, the second that Scotland started to win something, they ruthlessly start to take the point, slowly creeping up on them. And as you left us on a little bit of a cliffhanger, Dexatron, our new map is going to be revealed. New Junk City is going to be the flashpoint for this occasion. And all I have to say, everyone plays Surabasa. It's like a unspoken agreement, but it seems like Scotland is cooking something here, and I hope that they are able to really do something about it, because I want to see more. Bakineers has definitely been impressing us, and I think Scotland has some members that are just absolutely amazing. Painless, one of the better Lucios, one of the better main supports period in the league. And so we're gonna find out in just a couple of seconds. I think our players must be ready, so in just a couple of minutes we'll find out. Will Bakineers seal the deal with a beautiful 3-0 and move on to our semifinals, or will Scotland lock it in and maybe take us to a control map?
I mean, hey, I'm very confident that maybe Scotland could put up a good fight here. When you look at why they probably picked New Junk City over Surabasa, it does lend itself to maybe a little bit more of a divey sort of play style, especially with how open some of those points are. Here on New Junk City, they're not necessarily very open. Yeah, they're large points. There's something that is in the way on every point that really does lend itself to something like a brawl or something like a poke. Dive can still be played, but I don't think it can be played at the level that a brawl or poke can be played.
Right. All I have to say, I love the music for New York City. This is one of my favorite maps in the game, and it's so funny that everyone hates on it. But when I get to see it, I'm very excited. It looks very cool. There's really good theming. But let's not talk about the maps, and let's talk about these teams. In a couple of seconds, we'll find out what they'll be playing. And it seems like Nevix is going to be locking in on that Maga. Very hated character, has a really good matchup into Junker Queen, and Cynex is going to be in replacing Gavik from last game. But it seems like Scotland, it's the same roster: Paul, Painless, Nevix, Staffmaster, and Shoreline Pie versus Bakineers, who is going to have a Genji on their team. That's going to give them good 1v1ing against Staffmaster's Tracer. Very hard character to get off of you when they are just launching shuriken after shuriken, and Painless needs to be really careful, because if you don't have a beat for that late Dexatron, you're going to end up getting sliced and diced and put up on the BPL Clips of the Week channel. Point unlocks in 20 seconds. Let's see if Bakineers is able to close it out.
I mean, Flair is probably already on that channel with that 3K pulse back on Hollywood. Nevix just goes charging in, and look at their health pool just sort of fall down below that. But it's going to be Shoreline finding the first pick yet again this map. Dabmaster going to get rid of that DPS line. They will lose Nevix, but it should be Scotland winning out here unless Cynex has something to say about that.
Right, and Cynex seems... all I'm saying, I'm really happy to see Cynex. Of course, the first fight that they are on does not end up going too well, but 5% to the name of Scotland. They captured the point beautifully, and now you have to play the defense. All I'm going to say, Flashpoint is one of those maps in which at maximum you can get maybe three fights, but you have to go really fast. Scotland getting their ultimates together. A Pulse Bomb will be on their table really soon, and Bakineers getting closer to that beat.
Yeah, but with Scotland capping this point here first, Bakineers now have to try to just find some sort of opening here. Shoreline was the one that opened up that fight for Scotland last time around. They got very low right there, but Flair just still looking for anyone they can. Maybe it's going to be a dive there on to Nevix to try to get the distraction or focus on them. But no, Nevix inside the size himself just so charging in. Shoreline now has to slide away. Paul will fall, but you will also lose Knock. Shoreline now falls. Kills being traded back and forth here. Scotland at this point maybe already knowing they're about to lose this fight, just gonna try to stall this point out as long as they can. Yeah, with Nevix and Painless falling right there, Dabmaster, it's all on their shoulders here, but looks like they're just gonna turn tail and run.
And that stall is beautiful, Dexatron, because the next time that Scotland wins that team fight, if they do, it's going to be the last fight for Bakineers unless they're able to go for a desperate touch. You have an overclock on the side of Buckethead, who you will definitely have to use immediately so that Painless doesn't have an answer to it with their beat, but it seems like Bakineers is definitely playing it correctly. You need to look at Paul, and the second you get a knife on them, the second you get a clear line sight on him, he has to die immediately. So overclock is more than ready, and it's definitely going to be the first ultimate this fight, if not for the window of Paul.
Well, the window for Paul is the first thing that comes out, but Buckethead catches Dammaster off guard now. The overclock coming out here from Buckethead just has to play around for a moment, waiting for that window to go away. The immortality field gone, but Painless just playing a little bit too aggressive there. Paul will find Flare, but Scotland, they're looking like they're just gonna try to do a quick reset here.
Ooh, wait, no. That's going to be not good news for you. Fake Nemec's definitely putting in a lot of damage, but when you're going against 5 people, even Maga seems to be like a block of hot butter just melting away. 85%, and I don't think that Scotland can touch again. Look, they are hunting for the Tracer to not let them touch, and it looks like Master learned their lesson. They are not going to be contesting, and the first point goes to Bakineers, who pull it after a beautiful offense from Scotland, but it's not going to be enough. Nemec is just barely getting their cage, and it's probably going to go as fast as possible. Painless just a beat for Flair's Blade, and this point is already dominated by Bakineers, who has a very strong defensive position on it.
Yeah, Scotland just have to try to find their way in. It will probably just be Nevix charging straight in just to get something going. The cage fight gonna come out here. The blade though from Flair coming out. You see them just kind of playing around that cage as everyone for Scotland instead plays inside the cage. Flair immediately decides to go in and say hi, finding 2 picks right there. Make it a third as the DPS line for the Bakineers find every kill.
Oh, Dexatron, and the worst thing about it is that it was not only a loss, but it was an expensive loss. You use your overclock, you use your Maga ultimate, you use your beat, and you still ended up losing against the same 3 ultimates for Bakineers. So, you know, same investment, not the same return, let me tell you that much. Now that you're on Ramancha, you can definitely brawl it a little bit longer. Of course, Maga, when he doesn't have his E, it's very hard to live, but Ramancha always has block, and it's always able to negate a lot of damage. That Master looking for a little bit of a quick pulse to give them the win before the fight even starts. It might just happen 3% away.
Yeah, Dammaster has to just blink away, get that health pack. That pulse bomb so close. Looking like they're gonna try to get onto Noctera. However, it's gonna be Shoreline Pie. Gonna be able to take care of Buckethead with some help there from Dammaster. Now, that's the opening that Scotland was looking for. Shoreline Pie with 2 already this fight. The immortality field being invested here by Paul. You see Scotland just playing around that already, and now they just continue to find pick after pick. Bakery will be able to shut down Dammaster, but eventually it'll be Scotland winning this fight and taking the point back.
Right, and Nevek standing still for a couple of seconds, maybe clipping, maybe putting something in the chat. We don't know that just yet, but they did manage to take the point. However, if Bakineers is able to retake, and they might just do that because they have a rampage, and you don't have a Kiriko, you don't have a beat. Someone is going to die thanks to it if you manage to hit one of the squishes like Shoreline Pie or Paul. But they also have a window to negate any kind of engage that they will want to take. Beautiful pulse bomb, but it doesn't kill them just yet. What a shout from the side of Cynex.
Beautiful pulse bomb. I think beautiful Zuzu coming out from Noctera right there to keep everyone alive. Yeah, the shout was also there. Now the amateur all gonna be traded out, but Bakineers losing their tank is the bigger one. However, they immediately find the DPS line there for Scotland. Overclock now coming out here from Buckethead. Gonna be able to get rid of that immortality field before they just slide away. So nothing coming from that ultimate right there from Buckethead, who's normally been someone who finds 2 or 3 picks, but then here trying to get rid of Painless right there, but they're just wall riding themselves to safety at the moment. Bakineers still holding on to 3, almost 4 ultimates right now, but Scotland looking to go on the aggression. Nevek's gonna follow the beat, and Consumer's coming out here from Bakineers now. The Rampage gonna come out, hit 4 people, immediately finding 1. The Annihilation has to put in the work here, but they're so low on health, it won't matter. Cynex picking up 1, looking to find Dabmaster. Dabmaster, they're going to be able to find Bakery. Painless will fall. Dabmaster versus Cynex here. If Dabmaster finds this pick, they might be able to win this point.
And it seems like that Master just can't confirm it just yet. Cynex ends up going down, but hey, Buckethead is right here to contest, and that Master is the only one on point. No more recall, no more contesting for you. Now this is a desperate touch. Cynex needs to get back here immediately, and it seems like the Bakery is going to be holding them. But since it was overtime, they get an extremely long respawn timer. Scotland has an advantage, and not an advantage, a huge one. But Flair could turn it around with his blade.
Blade of the immortality field coming out, working to perfection. Paul gonna fall, but Shoreline Pie gonna trade it right back out. Kills being traded out. However, Scotland looking worse for wear because they have no supports. Buckethead gonna be able to land that headshot there. The pulse bomb. Master finds 2 now. They're getting rid of Cynex, and Shoreline Pie gonna be able to shut them down. Scotland evens the map up.
Oh, that was a roller coaster of emotions in which Scotland will be the only ones riding it up until the very end. That was a good point. All I'm going to say, there's so many things to analyze, and I wish as a color caster that I had infinite time to do that. But Scotland, even when they lost one of their members early, they were down 2 people that entire time for like most of that point. They held it perfectly. They played their lives until they could get their 1 and then come back. And then Cynex, they managed to get 4 with their ultimate, but don't quite kill. It doesn't matter what happened last one. We're back on the map, and it's 1-on-1. Cynex is on Doomfist, maybe an effective walling to roll out and touch point, but now they can play the dive. They could go fast. Buckethead finds their first pick on Shoreline Pie.
Yeah, that's a huge early pick here for the Bakineers. Now they have good point control, but you do see Scotland eventually just try to flip it on them. Now this 1v1, Painless has to be a little bit careful here. Noctera able to land those kunai right there to make sure they find them. Now Paul out as well. Bakineers is going to be able to cap the point here first without that support line from Scotland.
The Bakery was not, Paul was not locked in with Bakery. It was backwards. Just absolutely putting on a show with beautiful accuracy. Nebix is now going to be on the Jungle Queen, definitely making it harder for Cynex to live. The second that they block, they're going to put a knife on their back, and you're going to be pulled back in without any sort of survivability on the tank with the lowest HP pool in the game. Bakineers, however, they have a couple of ultimates more than ready. 4 of them, in fact, and Scotland only really has a beat ready to counter either an overclock or an aggressive Kitsune rush from the set of Bakineers.
I mean, you say Bakineers have 4. They're about to have all 5 of their ultimates here. Shoreline Pie getting very low again. Here comes the first ultimate, but Shoreline Pie shuts down Buckethead Flare. Very low on health as well. Noctera out. We were talking about all the ultimates that the Bakineers are going to have this fight. However, we've only seen one, and it was for a brief moment before they got their head taken off. Cynex coming in just to stall out this point as long as they can, but it is a 4v1, and it'll be Nevix sending them back to the spawn.
And they don't use the ultimate Sexatron, but that's the perfect thing, right? They notice, hey, Buckethead is not going down. If we don't have our Soch, our chances to win this fight are so low. And imagine, they could turn around with their ultimates, but if they commit and lose, then what? They just lose the entire point, right? There's nothing to retake with. So Bakineers hold their ultimates. They're gonna be more than aggressive with a Kitsune, hopefully, and melting down Nebix, melting down Shoreline Point. Anything could happen, but oh my god, Buckethead with a vengeance.
Oh, and Dadmaster tried to blink themselves out of that room, but they just bladed themselves into the same wall twice. Beat now coming out from Painless, not going to be able to land on the Shoreline Pie here. And you see them getting very low. Meteor Strike coming out here now from Cynex, but it's Buckethead again, just filling up this kill feed. Flare wants to get their name in it. The point will flip, and I don't think Scotland's going to be able to get back in time.
Yeah, Scotland is not even going to be able to get close to the point with Paul going down thanks to Buckethead's railgun. And we are on point, I guess, on match point.
Yeah.
Scotland is going to be one away from losing and not making it any further in Rally Rumble. Dexatron, will they be able to pull it back now that Cynex is going to be on the Junker Queen, matching the mirror?
I mean, we've seen this mirror in the past, and it was the Bakineers coming out on top, but it was a completely different tank, so it's going to be interesting to see how they play it here now. But Scotland going to be able to get this point presence first here.
And it seems like Flare is going in for a little bit of off angles. Shoreline Pie is going to be holding alongside Nebix, but Flare is in a little bit of a fight off their own, holding onto 2 people. But oh my god, Shoreline Pie is ulting.
Shoreline Pie using that ult right now. Nevix gonna be able to shut down Cynex here, and now that's a great first pick for Scotland. However, you lose Shoreline Pie. Now you just need to find something. Kitsune Rush coming out just to try to force the Bakineers back. Flare gonna be taken out now. Dadmaster focusing in here on the Bakery. Pulse Bomb gonna come out. Both Pulse Bombs from these 2 Tracers who have normally been sticking them throughout this entire series were just hopes and prayers. A nice knife there by Nevix to pull Buckethead back in. Paul will finish the deal as the Bakineers try just to get out with their lives.
Scotland with a really good win, and I hate to say it, Dexatron, it's my job to understand what happened, but I wouldn't be able to tell you how they won that. It was kind of sloppy from both teams. That definitely gave them an advantage when Shoreline Pie was ulting, putting out a lot of damage onto the tank, onto the squishies, but now that Bakineers is coming back, you need to deal with a Kitsune, you need to deal with a beat from the side of the Bakery, which is going to make them effectively immortal. Probably holding it for that Rampage, which is the only ultimate that Scotland has close and owning onto their name. Painless getting a little low, but now we're coming onto that high ground, and Bakineers is looking to contest.
They're just looking for any opening right now. Buckethead popping that overclock. Gonna be able to find Nevix. Their eyes now set on the Shoreline Pie. Shoreline Pie falls right there. Buckethead with 3. Can they find a 4th one? They won't need it as they've already retaken the point, but they are now trying to find it. Buckethead with 4. The only one left alive is Dabmaster.
And Dadmaster is back in the spawn waiting for the team. I'm not giving the clip to you, Buckethead. I'm going to stay right here and hopefully be able to retouch because 25% and ticking, they can definitely contest it. But if you lose this fight, it's going to get really, really close to your elimination. Nerfs at all times high for both teams. And Dadmaster, hopefully they will be able to find something. They're getting close to Buckethead. Flare ends up like taking a little bit of damage. And this Kitsune aggressive on the defense. I like it.
Pulse Bomb sticks there, but the Suzu going to come out from Paul to keep them alive. I like Paul swapping over to this Kiriko now because of the Suzu. The BAP was working good for them, but I feel like just having this Kiriko to mirror is exactly what you need. And now Scotland still looking for that opening They have this Rampage ready to go here. The knife going to be able to land on the Cynex. Cynex so close to a Rampage of their own. The beat, though, going to come out. Here comes the Rampage. Hits on to 4. Nevix, the only one to dig in. Hit with the Suzu. Now the Rampage from Nevix going to be able to hit only on the Cynex. Buckethead going to be able to shut down Dabmaster. But Cynex now a little bit far away from the rest of this fight. However, this could be final fight right now if the Bakineers are able to win it. Paul trying to just heal up Nevix here. Shoreline Pie going to be able to find one, but immediately trades themselves out there as Cynex comes back in. Eyes set here on Paul. Painless going to be able to find Buckethead here. Scotland doing whatever they can to keep this fight alive. The consumers coming out. Cynex going to be able to find Paul. The knife going to be able to land there. Painless finds Noctera. Bakery falls. Now it's a battle of the queens on point. Nevix finds Bakery right there to get the queen battle. The slashes coming out. Both get hit, but Dabmaster with the assist going to be able to make sure they get the point flipped back into control of Scotland.
We will never find out if Nevix would have won that against Cynex. It was going to get really close no matter what. And 10%, will they be able to touch? It seems like the Tracer is banking on touching Flare. You have 5% until you decide, will this be the end of the snap or can we hold it out? They recall, and Bakery is ready in for another touch. You have to kill them instantly, but it looks like Bakineers has more than here.
Flare going to be able to find Shoreline Pie. Cynex coming back out on that Doomfist. They want to try to win this map here and now. Scotland still doing whatever they can. Nevix going to be able to shut down Buckethead. Pulse Bomb going to come out, finds the stick, but the Suzu from Not going to be able to keep them alive. Master just trying to keep themselves alive here, but Cynex uses that ability to throw them right down into the pit. Overtime ticking down. Bakineers able to get a touch here. Dabmaster finding Flare, but Cynex back on the point. Beat coming out from Painless. They recognize how important this fight is. Dabmaster with 2. Shoreline gonna be able to find the final 2, and we're going to a .5.
What a point, and just beautiful from both teams. It's a little unfortunate that Cynex has to drop themselves into a hole, but look, it's going to be last point. Will we be able to see a 4th point? I'm really hoping, because Scotland is putting on a performance right now and looking really good. Wait, don't say victory until you see that victory on that screen. 4 ultimates from the side of Bakineers and Scotland getting close to a Rampage, which they don't really have an answer to other than the Susus from the side of Noctara, and maybe a beat if they want to commit. It's going to be an overclock, but Shoreline fight is knifed in. It doesn't matter.
You saw that one pixel. That's all Shoreline needed to send Buckethead back. One great ultimate there from Scotland will win them this fight, but hey, points open. You could be capping it right now.
They could be capping it, and that's exactly what they're going to do. It seems like Bakineers doesn't want to contest, and you don't have to. You can just wait it out. Shoreline might have to commit one of their ultimates to contest Flare once for the late, but it's not going to happen. Will they be able to get out? That's the big question.
Buckethead now investing the overclock, everything coming out here from the Bakineers. Buckethead gonna be able to find one, trying to find anyone else. The flick on the fall. Now it's focusing in on Nevix. Cynex gonna be able to clean up 2 right there. Scotland only gonna be able to get 25%.
Beautiful, beautiful win from Bakineers. They commit 3 of their ultimates, which is a little bit of a high cost, but you also got the worst ultimate out of the way. You got that Rampage thrown at you, you managed to survive it, and that's exactly how they managed to take the point. Will Scotland be able to build another one? One can only hope, because that's the only way they're gonna break them apart. And Cynex is getting real close to their own, taking on to that 50% point. And Dexatron, you have to go fast. If you don't go fast enough, this is going to be your last fight at the end of the day.
Yeah, and now, Dabmaster getting really low right there. Painless gonna have to come back to help him out. Now, Nevix gonna be able to find Cynex right there. The Kitsune Rush coming out from Paul. They're just trying to get anything going here right now. Nevix gonna be able to find Buckethead as well. And Scotland doing their job here, but looking like we're gonna be getting that pause here as someone definitely DC'd from the side of the Bakineers. But Biscuit, I mean, this is kind of what we've been seeing this entire series long. It's been back and forth, but it's normally been the Bakineers able to get that upper hand. Scotland now finally showing us that they can win a couple fights, win a couple points, and now 1 point win away from forcing a map 4.
And I hate to say it, but Cynex at the end of the day, they were set this early. They end up dying, and maybe one of the lobby admins is one of the players. You cannot pause in the heat of it. You're definitely too concentrated, and at the end of the day, it seems like they're going to be taking this point without your Joker Queen. What can you really do, Dexatron? But as you were saying, it's such a back and forth from both teams, and that second point is exactly what I want to see, right? But both teams fight it to the absolute nth, and it seems like Scotland is slowly but surely kicking up on all cylinders. If they can win this map, I can see that momentum carrying over to the next one and hopefully bringing us an even more exciting match. But Bakineers, they definitely seem to have it in control, and they haven't quite wiped them from the point just yet. So as soon as we have our players reconnected, we will definitely continue the match, and you will have But we'll have to find out if Scotland will have enough time to kick them off before it's too late. 80% is definitely a bad amount on that flashpoint. Why? Because like if you lose that, it seems like 20%, and in control that will be more than enough to touch. But in flashpoint, that goes by in like a couple of seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it was an internet crash from Cynex right there. And just looking at what we saw there before we got before we came back to us on the desk here, it looks like there's only really truly one ultimate ready, and that would be the pulse bomb for Dab Master, and that's really the only one that's close to being ready. Everyone else is at least 20-30% away. So that pulse bomb, we've seen them find a lot of value in the past, and especially on those first two maps, they were finding a lot, finding picks almost every time. But this map, the pulse bombs have kind of gone quiet. This one here, though, for Dab Master needs to be a loud roaring scream.
Yeah, and Dexatron, you know why it seems like no one has an ultimate? It's because Cynex was about to get it like on the high 70s, high 80s, and now that there's a pause, of course, this is connection protection. There's a chance that that is enabled in the lobby, and if it does happen, it's definitely going to turn things around. But I'm feeling a little scared, and I just want to say it could be an internet gap, and that might just give them the win, or it might make them lose now that you don't have your rampage. But Dexatron, don't count them out just yet on the side of Bakineers. They can definitely turn around, because this entire series, you have to remember, we're 2-0 in their favor. So it could make a difference. It could not make a difference. We will not find out until we get that internet fixed, Cynex.
Yeah, so we were just told Cynex was at 64% to that rampage. They did fall, though, before, and also Nevix did find Buckethead out, and those are two big players right there for the Bakineers, considering just how important and how important they've been to just finding those picks. They've been such key contributors to just finding members of Scotland out early in fights. And now that Buckethead is gone from this fight, yeah, you still have Flair there, who has proven throughout this entire series that they can be very scary. But again, like I said, the tracers this map have kind of been a little off.
Yeah, it definitely hasn't been as good as some of the other ones. We saw that triple pulsar from Fate. It was beautiful, and hopefully that master puts one of those up on the table. But Dexter, I'm very happy. Scotland definitely hasn't had the best showing. That Hollywood was definitely slowly getting closer, and that second map was not quite as close, but it's 2-2, and I think if they can win this game mode, they could definitely show us even more of what they have to show. But I said it from the beginning, both teams are strong, both teams are looking really, really good. If Rally Rumble is looking like this on like quarterfinals, I cannot imagine the semifinals, I cannot imagine the finals. You have to lock in if you want to see how this entire tournament is going to end, because these players are absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and because it being a little bit of an internet problem, we're going to throw it to a quick break, and once Cynex is back, we'll be right back here to cover the end of New Junk City. Everyone, stick around. You're not going to want to miss that. All right, if you guys are seeing our faces, that means we are so close to hopping back into the map. Now, we don't know who necessarily will be playing tank right now for the Bakineers. It sounds like it could be Cynex in here, and if they cannot get them back in, it will be Fierish coming back in for them in this pivotal situation.
Yeah, it's a little tragic, and I hate to say it that this is probably the way that they're gonna end up going down. But definitely, you're not going to see our faces anymore. We're back into the game, and it seems like Cynex is back in on Junker Queen with the ultimate protection. Bakery ends up going down here.
Yeah, but it's going to be the rest of Scotland just cleaning up this fight. They got up to 83%. This is something we talked about before that we took a break. Bakineers really only need to win one team fight from here on out.
Yeah, and the good thing is that the motion protection is going to keep the Rampage, which was the ultimate that both teams were the closest to. So even if it gets Suzu Dexatron, you're forcing out a huge cooldown, you're putting in a lot of pressure for the team. Master looking for a pulse bomb here, and this could make the difference. 60%. This could be our last fight very well.
Yeah, absolutely, but I like this sneaky play coming out from Flair to get Master away from that high ground, knowing that they probably have that pulse bomb ready to go. Bakery gonna fall down there, but Nevix is down there as well. Has to use that shout early to keep them alive. Pulse bomb gonna come out there from Master, not finding anyone. Buckethead, they've been good entire map. Painless gonna be able to find Cynex out early. That's exactly what you wanted, but they immediately traded back out. Beat coming out here from Painless. Both teams recognize how important this fight is. Shoreline Pie with 2. Master gonna be able to find Flare. Noctera can only do so much. And Biscuit, we have a series on our hands.
And Fake Nevix is really excited that they managed to win the map. Cynex not too happy about the comment, but one cannot say that it wasn't one cannot say that it was a bad game at all. Of course, we will never find out in any timeline soon if Bakineers could have won if Cynex had not disconnected, but one has to keep on going, and 2-1 for our series. Bakineers definitely not getting the 3-0 that they probably wanted, but hey, we're moving on to our 4th map. And Dexatron, as you were saying, I'm very excited because this is now officially a series.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You bring up that good point right there, saying we won't ever know what happened. There's probably a timeline where there was no DC, but even through all that, we did see Cynex fall in that fight early, so they weren't going to be a big contributor in it. I still feel like that map would have played out how it did with Scotland winning that final point and winning the map here. And we talked about before break and a lot throughout New Junk City, Scotland finally, starting to consistently win these team fights. In the past couple maps, it was they would win one team fight and then we'd right back to the Bakineers winning a couple team fights in a row before Scotland was able to finally get something back.
Right, and that's a good thing that you bring up. Of course, we cannot tell for sure. Maybe there's at that time, maybe Cynex X one less damage in that last one. But what matters is what we saw right there. And it's Cynex, ends up going down. And that last one, you're not able to use your ultimate to force a thing that was going to turn around. Possibly if it was going to. But now we're moving on to Control. And Dexatron, my favorite part about Control is just the simplicity of it, right? Of course, usually when you're playing Coliseum in Hollywood, there's you have someone on payload, someone pushing, taking different angles. But Legion Tower, for example, and Control in general is just get your picks, take the point. It's definitely all about that aggressive offensive play. And in Legion Tower, we can see almost a little bit of anything. You can see the ball, we can see the Winston because Live is very strong on this map, but Brawl is definitely going to be the main thing on the table. Maybe a Pharah, which not as popular after a couple of the changes, definitely not being able to stall in the air forever, but we don't know what they're going to lock in just yet. Dexatron, I think Legion Tower is a perfect fit for a team as aggressive and as flexible in their compositions as Bakineers is. So map set, moving on to our 4th map. Escort is still awaiting at the end of the line, but I get a feeling that Bakineers is a little upset at what happened.
Yeah, I would not be surprised by that at all here. I think everything froze on my end, so I don't know if you can even hear me.
Oh, I can hear you, of course. Hey, thankfully, I can still hear you, but hopefully the stream comes back for you. We're moving in. Thank you. I always have to say it. Observers, Thank you so much. I love the angles. It looks like a movie. You know, Gasik is in for Cynix, probably preventing any sort of this connection. Playing the monkey. It could be monkey. It could be Ramatra. It could be Junker Queen. It could be absolutely any tank in the game. But what both of these teams have in common is a sim TP out of spawn, and I don't even have to worry about what the DP is going to be. It's going to be a tracer, with the difference being, hey, one team is wanting to go fast on backling with a jump, and the other one wants to fight forever and just burn the monkey to an absolute crisp with this Maga.
Yeah, and I think coming out with the Malga here for Scotland is the right move for them. And like you said, it's there to burn this monkey to the ground, burn its bubble, and then start to burn its corpse here as well. And you see what the Bakineers are doing here. They're trying to play a little bit safe, waiting for maybe Flare to get into that backline, you know, to get a little bit of pressure taken off of this front line. And then that dive is going to come in, but Bakery taken down low almost immediately there. Fear is going to be able to dive in right there, but Nevix just starting to pump in the damage. Buckethead, though, I mean, we cannot have a fight without Buckethead at least finding one. Bakery going to be able to find Shoreline there. The Suzu really saving Knock there for a moment. Buckethead, though, going to be the thing that really puts the final nail in this coffin here as they take care of Nevix.
Right, and Buckethead just manages to find 3, and what are you supposed to do when you're playing against like the best soldier on the league? Apparently 63% until they manage to get that that overclock switch onto Kree for the side of Shoreline Pie. Definitely gonna make it harder for every single character on the side of Bakineers to move as fast as they want to, and they're on Diva now, playing for the counter dive, playing to burn the monkey even more than they were already on Maga. But the point belongs to the Bakineers, who are approaching the 25% mark.
And Flare finding Dadmaster out early, but immediately be traded out there by Bakery. Now Scotland loses their main support, Painless. They have to be a little bit careful there, but Flare is going to take care of them with a nice right hook. And the fight, really a disjointed fight to start, is already over here as they're going to try to stall out Nevix.
Oh no, Nevix, they're going down in the worst way a Diva can go down. Slowly but surely, they managed to, they don't even get to jump off the map. It's going to be Gaslight taking the pick, and 50%. Dexatron, Bakineers are not stopping. They want their win. They want to go eat and just go to sleep for the day, because they're putting in some insane work. Scotland doesn't even have an ultimate to their name, but getting close to that pulse bomb, while Bakineers is using their pulse bomb, doesn't find anything, but they have an overclock, which is going to be scary.
Yeah, and here comes the Consumer Rush Flare, though. They don't need to really find anything with their pulse bombs, as they're just deadly with their pulse pistols. The pulse bomb stick, though, from Dabmaster, going to be able to find 2. However, it really won't lead to anything else, as the damage was basically already done before that.
Yeah, and even if you manage to get a couple of picks with Pulse Bomb, they're not going to amount to anything except for maybe the fact that they won't play as fast as you want to, and that's exactly what happens. They manage to take point. The Bakineers are split, but it doesn't matter, because this overclock is going to make it scary for Scotland to even contest.
Beat coming out here from both sides. Deadeye also coming out from Shoreline Pie, but again, it's Flare finding Dadmaster in that backline. Shoreline Pie, though, finds 2 with that Deadeye now. They're trying to get rid of this angry monkey who is out here throwing hands. Kafir is just doing whatever they can. The pulse bomb, though, Flare coming back in, going to be able to find 1. The point will flip, but now it's really up to Paul and Nevix to do whatever they can. Paul will find 1 before they get traded out. Nevix, though, still alive and kicking on point in that mech. Going to be able to hold on to it here for a moment.
And they get traded out, as you said, but trading your Kiriko for anything is not what I would do. That's the main source of healing. That's the person putting on the pressure, cleansing you from those pulse moments. It's really bad for you, but now Gaza gets getting back to the point. The Zivas by themselves, and Akitsune putting so much pressure onto Bakineers.
But you're going to lose Shoreline Pie early yet again. Oh, Painless going to be able to barely keep themselves alive here. Nevix does have that remeching tool right now with the bomb. However, you lose Paul. Painless finally back up in the fight, just dancing around right now on the outskirts of it. The dive coming back in from Furish right there just to try to disrupt it a little bit. The bomb going to come out here from Nevix, just hoping to keep themselves alive. Not going to be able to find anyone but Flare, able to take care of the Diva before they get back in the mech. The point will flip. Dabmaster just going to try to stagger out this point as long as they can. The Consumer Rush coming out here from Noctera. They want to end this map and point here and now. Paul, though, going to find Flare. The boop going to send back Paul for the moment. Noctera finally gets rid of Dabmaster in that backline. Painless just able to get that final touch there just to keep the overtime wick alive. Nevix coming back in there for a moment. They're going to try their damnedest, but it won't necessarily be enough as they get DMAX. Shoreline Pies falls, Nevix falls, and Bakineers 1 point away from moving on in these playoffs.
Yeah, and they're just playing it beautifully. Like Gasic on the monkey is you have to take some notes. I don't know if you play tank Dexatron, but if you're planning to, or if you do, this guy's the guy to learn monkey from. Like, it's just beautiful how disruptive they are. And now we're moving on to Control Center. And Control Center is definitely one of the more varied maps in which you can play almost anything. Right? We've seen Junkrat Symmetra, for example, yesterday in one of the first matches of the tournament, and it seems like Master is going to TP their team out as well as Flare. I'm seeing a Reinhardt, and
Yeah, I was
Reinhardt,
gonna say.
right? Reinhardt into Maga. That's okay. So the Lizard Brain will tell you, two big machine guns. He's gonna murder Reinhardt, but Reinhardt is actually pretty strong into Maga. Think about it. If Maga cannot shoot flesh, if he cannot shoot someone, he's going to die. He doesn't have healing, and that's exactly what Reinhardt does. Puts up his shield, makes it so that Nevix doesn't get healing, and then just absolutely burns him. That's exactly what's happening. Beautiful matchup here.
Ooh, the Suzu gonna be able to save Nevix there for a moment. Fierce just has to try to play around corners right now while they wait for their own shield to come back and their health to regen here. The support's doing a good job getting both those tanks back ready for a fight. That shield, though, gonna be broken here. Fierce has to play around corners, but Nevix will be the first one taken out here. However, you will lose. It's actually just being picks, being traded back and forth. Both Cassies and both tanks out already. Bakineers, though, looking like they want to try to cap this point here first.
Yeah, it's just as good of a matchup as it is until Reinhardt doesn't have a shield up, and that's when Gasic ends up dying. No more Suzu. This is your chance, Flare, to give us another one of those clips that you've been putting up this entire match. Flare ends up going into a 1v1 against Master. Master manages to get out against the mini, and this is still the point for Bakineers. Maga doesn't have the range to contest that. We're going in so aggressively.
Also, I'm going to stick here on the Nevix. That will just help them melt down as Buckethead finds them. That Ambit is also coming out from Noctera, forcing Scotland just to play around corners. The recalls from both Traces to keep themselves alive, but Bakery on point, going to be able to take care of Paul. Dabmaster, you're going to be able to get that large health pack flare, though. This Trace duel still going on as everyone else is just camping the spawn chokes at the moment.
Nevix was a little bit too eager to engage onto that fight extra, and I think we can agree on that. But that also got out a pulse bomb and a window to murder them. And Gasix manages to confirm a kill that Buckethead had barely started to get. Flare ends up getting Master, and that's the fastest fight I've ever seen.
Yeah, that Tracer duel finally ended. It might be the longest Tracer duel I've ever seen right there, but really not the fight you were really expecting there.
Yeah, it's just unlucky. 50% for the side of Bakineers, slowly getting closer to. Oh my, Master's back on the Torbjorn. It seems that they really don't want Flare to be getting the value they're getting. And this is beautiful. Look at that. Flare manages to get so much damage. And Buckethead
finding one. Can they find a second? They've been able to do it consistently throughout the night, but everyone on Scotland is going to back up. That overclock has gone, but hey, the damage, it will persist on forever. They find Nevix, and Dabmaster. Yeah, Torb might be small, but they will still find you.
And you see what I mean? Like, Reinhardt pushes up the shield, Maga cannot shoot anything but a shield, and you end up dying, right? No more healing, everything you take is permanent, and Nevix is definitely starting to find out why this matchup is not as good as you think for Maga. Oh my god!
3 pulse bomb from Flare will not really find anyone because Painless invests the beat. Same thing with Paul investing the Kasuna. It's not going to be able to find anything with that just yet. Deadeye from Shoreline Pie. This one could be deadly here, but Flare going to be able to send a shot through the head of the Cowboy themselves right there. The cage fight coming out from Nevix as a last-ditch effort, but the Bakineers proving that this should have been a 3-0 sweep. Scotland put up a hell of a fight, but this Bakineers team is one to be fearing of.
There's a reason they're #1 seed. The Bakineers absolutely cooking, and it's just beautiful seeing what they're able to do on all of these competitions, because this is a team that doesn't only play, you know, your Ramatra, your Junker Queen. They can play anything and to the best of levels. And if I had to give my match MVP to anyone, Dexatron, it's Buckethead. The second that Buckethead has a railgun, someone has to fear for their lives. You can see the credits right there for observers, for producers, for your casters who are here this double night with you. And I think Bakineers is going to be moving on today, and maybe even more, because semifinals is just around the corner, and Dexatron, this is a team that you have to be afraid of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were one of the best teams in just the Swiss stage, and now they continue to show why they were that best team. Yeah, they've dropped a map in each of their 2 playoff games so far, but still, I mean, you could argue that this could have been a 3-0, but really, we were talking about this entire series. Scotland, at times, looked like they were equal or better than this Bakineers team. They just weren't ever able to really consistently get over the hump, and we didn't necessarily see that much here on Lijiang Tower.
Yeah, and in Lijiang Tower, it's like, hey, we're so angry that Cynex ended up disconnecting. We don't get the win, and now we're just gonna. I just want to go to bed, man. And they end up closing the whole thing down. It's beautiful. And Dexatron, I'm just gonna say, there's so much happening, but Rally Rumble is about to come to an end. We have our bracket coming up on screen in just a couple of seconds, so get excited because there's so much more from where that came from, right? Rally Rumble, as you may remember, it's a weekend tournament, so a lot of these talents are always at the highest of levels, and I think today we saw as good as Overwatch gets in this kind of community.
Yeah, but because, like you said, it's kind of narrowing down now and whittling down to only a couple teams left. We only have 4 more teams left here, and every game will be streamed tomorrow, both semifinal games and then the grand finals. The Bakineers will be taking on what is Inspire tomorrow in that first semifinal, and Blossom is waiting on the winner of Crab Ball and Blue Footed Boobies. Crab Ball, I mean, Crab Ball and Militarum was the A stream before this game, and that was a very, very entertaining game, and I really thought whoever won that one could make a little bit of a run, in Crab Ball right now sitting on top of Blue Footed Boobies 2-1.
Yeah, and I'm a very big fan of the teams that are right here. I have the pleasure of casting What is Inspire against Low Polymari, and Low Polymari beat them up. Like, it was not even close, right? And What is Inspire seems to have brought it back, defeating Low Polymari. Polymari, you have to remember, this team had Cal, students of the game Cal. So that's a win that you want to hang up in your room. And What is Inspire is definitely one of the more surprising teams because they have a lot of rookies. People that haven't been in the BPL community at all are on that team, and they seem to be running it, beating up Ferrymen 3-0. So tomorrow, do you want to find out if Bakineers are going to be as consistent as they were today and win over What is Inspire? All will What is Inspire show us that even those outside of BPL have what it takes to dominate the scene? We don't know that just yet, but the semi-final will be on tomorrow alongside our grand final, 6 p.m., 7:30 p.m., and 9 p.m. You better put on an alarm because I will definitely be there to watch. I'm excited.
Yeah, the Rally Rumble has just been so fun this entire weekend, and we've started to see a lot of players pop off. And like you said, a team full of, a whole bunch of rookies. That's what we love to see here at BPL. But Biscuit, that will do it for us here tonight. It was a great couple series here, both on the A stream and the B stream. Make sure you go follow BPL_2 here on Twitch as well, so you know when that channel will be used. It won't be used tomorrow because everything will be here on the main channel, so follow us here as well. You're not gonna want to miss that action. But Biscuit, before we go, anything else you want to say?
All I want to say was an absolute pleasure casting with you, Dexatron. Bakineers definitely showing us what it's all about. Hey, we're going to play fast and we're going to dominate. They are our first seed, but tomorrow we might just be surprised because some of these teams, as you were saying, are really, really strong. Definitely be on standby to see if Craftball is able to do the run that Dexatron was saying over here. But it has been it for me. It was an absolute pleasure to be casting these players, be casting with you, Dexatron. But to all of you in the BPL scene, have a good night. Rally Rumble will come to an end tomorrow.